In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
All right, and away we go. Away we go. What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? Welcome back to the show. Appreciate you always for joining me. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel on your way in. My name's Brian. For some reason, Twitch just does not like the my title today. Not going to let me have the title to myself. It's going to apparently. What did I do? What doesn't it like about this title? Nothing in there that I could see. All it says is that Ukraine cripples Russia's fuel supply and that the Iran deal collapses because we've seen strikes and bombs and missiles being shot into, again, Gulf nations, U.S. into Iran, Israel against Hezbollah. So it's like, I think that's pretty truthful. I think it's pretty factual. Why they have a problem with that, I'm not really sure. But let's see if we can appease Twitch real quick and see what we can change. A real dead collapses. I'm not sure what to change. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no bad words. It said bombs way before, but I even took that out so Twitch didn't get all over my case. Let me give it one more shot. Nope, still doesn't like it. All right, let's remove it. You're gonna get out of here, and then we're gonna go back again. We're gonna do this all over again. Cheapest creepers to appease these sites. You know what I mean? The things you got to do to get around the old algorithms. Twitch says title is invalid. Try changing it a bit. Oh, sit on it and rotate Twitch. How about that? Maybe it doesn't like this. Let's see. Attacks. I'll do attacks. Maybe attacks is a better word for that. You know what I mean? You guys can watch me do this live because I'm sure that's why you came here. Nope, not going to happen. Yeah, oh, did it work? Nope, didn't work either. This is just going to sit here and piss. You guys can just hit the like button while I do this. Believe me, I'm going to fight here with Twitch. You guys can watch me do so. We got a lot to cover today. Believe me, I got a lot to cover. I'm going to try to get to it as soon as I'm done boxing here with Twitch. But it's June 28th. I appreciate you for joining me. Like I said, there's going to be a whole lot of stuff for us to get to. Let me see what they have a problem with. I'm taking that away. I took that away. I don't want that in there anymore. That's not the title anymore. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want me to do? I don't understand what you want me to do. So that's gone. We'll take that out. All right, now we're going to put it back in. That's not the title anymore. I changed that title, and then we're going to change this and see what happens one more time. If not, I don't know what to tell you, Twitch. I'm not sure what to tell you. I feel bad, but I'm trying to appease them, but I'm just not sure. I'm just going to put, if it doesn't do this, I'm going to put blunt poll. Oh, all right, we're up. Welcome to the party, Twitch. Welcome to the goddamn party, Twitch. It was hard enough to get you in, so I hope you at least hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you can. Whatever you got to do over there on Twitch would be fantastic. But let's finally bring in the chat. Let's say hello. My apologies to you guys, but you know what I got to do to fight through all the nonsense here. You guys see a little bit of it at least. What's going on, Don? How are you? What's going on, Yakov? What's going on, El Rondo? What's up, Bob? What's up, No Money G? What's happening, people? What's up, Vasanta? What's up, No Money? I appreciate you. I do. What's up, Susie? What's up, Roxanne? What's up, Petrazi? Hello, Andrea. How are you? What's up, Wes? Good to see you, my friend. Laurie, good to see you. Just Julie, good to see you. Petrazi, great to see you. What's up, Frank? What's up, Victor? What's up, Frisky? How you feeling today? You feeling frisky? What's going on, Jan? How are you? Like I said, make sure you hit that Mega Bestland. Oh, Mega Bestland. Okay. You almost had me tricked there for a second. My apologies. What's going on, JD? What's happening? What's up, Etch? All right, hit that like button on the way, and let's go over a few of these things that we'll be discussing today. It's a lot of disaster, typical as usual. You know what I mean? A lot of things that aren't going well, but the administration is going to tell you are going perfect, a-okay. So first thing, obviously, is the U.S. and Iran continue bombing as the MOU is pretty much dead on arrival. I don't know, anybody still thinking that like a ceasefire exists somehow is, I don't know, still pushing the propaganda at least. Trump again threatens all of Iran. So we'll be looking at, the Trump Truth Social post that's making its way around social media at this point. We have a United 24 clip here that details life in Drushivka with the 93rd Brigade. It's only about a 5-6 minute video. I thought it might be poignant to get into as close to the front line and as close to Konstantinivka. Konstantinivka, obviously in the news and the headlines recently. We'll be taking a further look at the fuel crisis that continues for Russians. More and more videos going on social media here of Russians just freaking the fuck out, for lack of a better term. And then we got some more updates from the front from the professor. From Dennis Davidov, just to detail what's been going on in the last 48 hours, things that have been hit. So just to go through a little bit of that. But, before we go into, let me throw this on the screen because we jumped up a couple points. I always want to make sure to start off in the appropriate spot here on this show. So we've jumped up a couple points overnight. Let me throw this on there. So I just want to make sure, again, to thank you guys. We've gone from 75 to 78% of the way there. So again, we're up to 16,159 as far as euros raised, which by my calculations is just over 18,400 US dollars. Okay, so like I said, nothing to shake a stick at. This is no small contribution by any stretch of the imagination. And again, especially through the use of this community. We're not a large community by any stretch of the imagination. We're not a million subscriber base here. So to be able to do this in less than 3 weeks is, again, I continue to give you guys the appreciation and gratitude that you deserve. But again, you can head over to Help 99. It's the Boston Bryan Summer of Drones campaign. We've got 132 donations already, once again, totaling 16,159 euro or 18,400 and something dollars in there. So I very much appreciate you guys for making this possible. I know, like I always say, we're stretching everybody thin here, but if you could just share it out, right? At this point, I know I've kind of tapped you guys out on this so far, but if we could share it out, if you could just put it on social media, put it in the, pro-Ukrainian chat groups or, the Blue Sky groups that you could find or any groups on Threads that you might find, dump this in there, tell them what a great cause it is, obviously what fantastic patches that we have, and then again, the honor and the privilege of being asked by Help 99 and the NAFO 69 Sniffer Brigade to, participate in these campaigns because they recognize that we can contribute, we can help, we could be of some assistance. That's what it's all about here. So again, much appreciated for getting us this far in the campaign, 78% of the way there. So let's continue to push, see if we can get that 100% within the next week or so would be fantastic. And then, we can talk from there about how we're going to make that delivery. And, like I said, there is no benefit to the channel of this financially. We don't see any of these donations. They don't come toward the channel. Everything goes from you guys straight to Help 99, straight to the boys and the men and women over there in Ukraine that need it. Not only that, but I am willing to come out of pocket to go over there and deliver this firsthand to them. So just, to make sure that everybody knows there is no like active participation or financial gain or benefit to this channel whatsoever, just to let everybody know. So everything that you guys donate 100% goes right to the cause. And again, you can go through all of the information on Help 99. I think it's up to about 24 million euro, somewhere in that ballpark of how much they've been able to donate and raise throughout, the totality of all of these campaigns. I think they just hit like the 300 campaign mark not long ago. I think they put out a post, just kind of detailing how many fantastic campaigns have actually been finished. And I think it was around 300 or so. So happy to be a part of it. Very honored to be a part of it. And like, let's see if we can get this thing done. Right. I appreciate you guys, for sticking with us. I appreciate you guys for, being active and being engaged in what we're passionate about here in this channel, on this channel. So like I said, pat on the back, much appreciated. The gratitude is endless as far as I have for you guys. So what do you say? We get that to the 100% mark so we can congratulate everybody even further. And like I said, we can bring that vehicle to the 3rd Artillery Platoon there. That would be fantastic. But before we get into a little bit of the Iran MOU disastrous, like just dissolving of the MOU in front of our faces, can we take a quick look at this video? Because this was Mockler. Adam Mockler put this video out. It's kind of been getting a lot of play on social media. I think it's already got about 1 million views on YouTube here about Trump's state fair. So let me throw this on the screen and we can talk about how disastrous this has been. Like I said, we're going to go from one disaster to another. This being the first disaster, Trump thinking that this was going to be like the technological show of the century and, everything was going to go smooth and there was going to be millions and millions of people to show up. Well, that hasn't really been the case. So Adam put together just a quick video, and we don't have to go through the entire thing here, where not only does he talk about how disastrous it was, but he plays the Fox News clip that everybody's been talking about, where, they're talking about the thousands and tens of thousands of people that were there. Meanwhile, all you can see is fucking empty grass behind them. You know what I mean? You might have maybe couple hundred people in there at the most behind them. So obviously they're trying to push their propaganda to make it seem like it was more awesome than it was, for lack of a better term. But like I said, this has been making its rounds here, so I just want to see if we can play. I think there was one in here, a clip in here where he plays right here where he plays this guy from I think he's from the Mirror, a UK outlet there, and he's talking about his thoughts on the Great American Fair and how it didn't really live up to expectations, to say the least. So let's see if we can get into this real quick. And then, like I said, we'll get into the, the ridiculousness of the what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf nations between the United States, Iran, Israel, and Hezbollah. And then everybody's still trying to call this a ceasefire and then still hopeful that this MOU actually comes to a finalized deal when, we've continued to see the Iranians and the Omanis at this point now act as they own that portion. They own that strait. So we'll dive into all those details. I don't want to get ahead of myself and everything that Donald Trump said, basically threatening the entire population of Iran once again, thinking that somehow going to lead to a beneficial outcome as far as the peace talks or the MOU is concerned. But let's see if we can dive into just a couple of minutes of this Adam Mockler video, because he's detailing just a few aspects of how this great American fair to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States was just an utter disaster, much like everything else that Donald Trump touches. Everything the guy touches turns to shit. And this was no different. So just a couple minutes of this video, and then we'll go on to what's been taking place in the Strait of Hormuz, and obviously the bombs and the missiles that are still being launched between the nations at war right now. So what do you say we get into this real quick? Hit that like button. My name is Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast. I really do appreciate you for joining me, whether you're here day after day or you've been here for about 5 seconds. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. If you find a welcoming place there in the community, thank you here. Yvonne, thank you so much. What's crazy is I figured out that now I'm kind of on my own as far as these. Let me star that one. I'm going to star yours, Yvonne. Where'd it go? I saw yours in there, Yvonne. What happened? What happened? So I'm looking for everybody's super chats because for some reason, I don't know if it had to do with an update or whatnot, but for some reason on StreamYard, it doesn't put them aside for me anymore. So I'm going to try to catch them out of the corner of my eye. I'll star them for the end of the show. And then at the end of the show, I won't have to flip through the entire chat. But thank you so much to Luis. Just became a member for 27 months. Very much appreciated. He asked, at Boston Brian, when you deliver the pickup to Ukraine, go to Philip Ittner show On the Edge, having a Philip interview. You would be hilarious. I don't know if you've known that, but the last time I was in Ukraine on the first humanitarian aid convoy that I was a part of, I made it a point to stop off and visit Phil. I'm not sure. I don't recall at this point if he did have that podcast going. He very well might have, but I don't recall at this point if he had that going. But we were able to catch up. We had a couple beers together. We had some food. He actually came to the recording studio where Ken Casey recorded with this Ukrainian band that really loved the Dropkick Murphys, and they put together an album. They put together a song that had and included some of the other people that were included in the convoy. So Phil was able to meet us at the recording studio. We hung out for a little bit. He got to meet Ken Casey, talked to Ken Harbaugh, a bunch of the other people that were involved. It was a good time. But yeah, I did make it a point even further to go visit Phil by his apartment in Kyiv, and we grabbed a bite to eat and a beer. But I would be more than happy and more than willing to sit down with Phil and talk about what's going on with Ukraine and Russia on his show On the Edge, if that's possible. But, great idea, Luis. Much appreciated. And thank you to Yvonne for the 20 gifted memberships. Let's friggin' go, Yvonne. Very much appreciated. Love what you do for this channel. Thank you so much for, again, all of the information, all of the emails. You really spend a shitload of time doing that, and I appreciate every second. I know I don't get to respond to every single one of them, but, with the like overwhelmingness, let's just say, of the amount of stupid emails that people get, it's tough to sift through all of the, all of the nonsense. It really is. But believe me, I see them, and you keep me up to speed and up to date on a lot of things. So very much appreciated, Yvonne. Thank you, Luis. And then what was the first one there? I know there was another one in there. Hold on, let me see if I can go back. And thank you, Frank. I saw that one. Yeah, for a shower at the campground. Thank you, Frank, for the $2 contributions. Very much appreciated. I don't know who needs a shower or what campground we're at, but I appreciate it. I don't know if you're trying to tell me something. You're trying to tell me something. I feel fresh. I feel like I'm smelling fresh as a daisy, but I don't know. Let me know if it's coming through the microphone a little differently on your side. All right, let's get into a little bit of this video. Thank you to Yvonne. Thank you to everybody gifting. Again, you can utilize the Venmo up in the corner another way. It's probably the quickest and easiest way to get those 4 quarters or 8 quarters. Again, all we ask for is $1 or $2 that you have set aside or can set aside to send in and contribute to the channel. It really, really helps. Again, we have no ads. We've never talked to financial backers. We've never talked, we've never interrupted this show with what's it called? Commercials. Couldn't think of the word commercials there. We don't charge for Substack. None of the content is hidden behind a paywall. All of those things that we try to make it so, nobody can control what we talk about. Nobody can say, hey, I don't really like that you're covering that, or that you're not covering that, or what you said about that. So like it says, I try to continue to do it that way so we can have the freedom to continue to cover, things like what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in the West Bank, what's going on in Lebanon, clearly the war between Russia and Ukraine, and all of the other things that, the algorithm really doesn't push, really doesn't like to get out there and push itself. So thank you for, picking up the slack. Thank you for making up the difference, as it were. But all right, let's jump into this Adam Oakland video. And he says, this secret just destroyed Trump's fair. Don't know if we'll necessarily get into the entirety of the video, but there are a couple points here that I want to get into. Let's hit this.
They're on Fox News, and they thought they were going to have this massive crowd behind them, and there's just absolutely nobody behind them while they break this news.
Connecticut and Maine are sharing a space and basically just put up some chairs and their state logos.
I mean, again, this is like, I don't know if you recall Trump touting what this state fair would be, or Great American Fair would be, but he said it was going to be like a technological marvel. There was going to be like the most innovative shows and things, and produced, shows produced, and millions of people were going to show up. And it turns into this. Like, I guess you could lasso a chair in like the Wyoming one, I think it was, and then like you'll see some of the exhibits here. It was ridiculous. And then the guy from the Mirror details like how far you would actually have to walk if you wanted to see like all of the states. I think he says it's something like 3 miles, you know what I mean? Which is nuts.
What did Connecticut and Maine do to deserve this? What? All right, everybody. I just learned the truth about Trump's 16-day America 250 celebration, and it is way more tragic and depressing than anybody could have guessed. This is not at all what it was supposed to look like. This empty shell of a fair is not at all what was supposed to be presented to the American people. For years, almost a decade, there were genuine planners who were envisioning America's 250th
Before
anniversary.
we go on, I actually have that clip there from Fox News. Let me see if I can throw this on real quick. We'll just show them trying to celebrate how fantastic this is. Meanwhile, you can actually see what's going on behind them. Again, maybe I'll give them 400 tops in the entirety of this whole video here. But here's that Fox News clip, and then we'll go back into Adam's video.
Happy early birthday, America. We're celebrating already at the Great American State Fair. Man, we've got thousands of people celebrating this birthday with us, Tommy. You and I had a chance to go out. We got to see some of the exhibits. I'm sure you got what I got, which was a lot of people going, hey, love to watch it on Fox. I hope a lot of them left the mall, went home, and turned on their...
Look at behind them. You could quite literally have a football game and a soccer game going on simultaneously, and nobody would have to move out of the way. There's literally enough ground for that. There's enough space there that is not covered by, again, human beings attending this thing. You know what I'm saying? And again, the events, or whatever, what do they call them? The little stands that they put up there, and these guys saying that they visited them and how awesome they were. Well, you guys will get a chance to see just after this in Adam's video. just how ridiculous some of these things were. I'll put this back on. Check it out.
As something on the scale of a modern World's Fair, a month-long celebration nationally showcasing every single corner of the country. It has since been hijacked and perverted into this campaign rally where Trump puts his thumb on the scale and has people that he likes.
It's just so embarrassing, right, though? I mean, what are the fucking chances? What are the chances that on the 250th anniversary, we're probably pretty good considering the history of this country, but like the shame and embarrassment and like, the unfortunate nature of having Donald Trump presiding over this country, like while this celebration or what is supposed to be a celebration is going on, you know what I mean? To have him in charge of all these things is just like, people are going to look back on this and be like, what in the fuck was that? You know what I mean? It's a shame. You know what I mean? Because another 250 years, we're going to have to wait. We'll be dead and buried, long gone. It's going to be our ancestors and, your great grandkids and shit that are going to be celebrating, the next 250th milestone. And hopefully they have, a much more suitable leader, let's just hope, than we have right now putting this shit show on. Like, I mean, again, just nobody there. It's an embarrassment. Again, I'll let it continue. It goes on because then you get the recounting of the guy from the Mirror who gives the details of what he saw from all of this
as campaign rallies and basically controls a lot of this, which means it turned to shit. Almost everything Trump touches turns to shit. I made a deeper video earlier about the World Fair happening today, but this one is going to go.
Look at the screen. It says unbelievable crowd. Yeah, people are elbowing their way into the fucking front row. Look at everybody fighting for that front row space. Look at it.
A little bit more in depth on the secret behind this fair and the corruption that actually exists behind it. So check out that video. It was a rather funny one. We walked through a bunch of crazy shit happening, but this video is going to be a bit more serious. On screen now, you see the turnout for the fair on day 3, and it does not look good at all. If you appreciate these videos where we bring the truth to you and the American people, make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe. And I guess let's just start off by showcasing the British experience in the United States. This UK reporter went to the fair, and I
believe he's from the Mirror, like I said.
I think this is a perfect encapsulation because you get to see it through fresh eyes and just how bizarre it is. From there, we will jump into the corruption aspect of it and how Donald Trump hijacked this event from a serious group, a very serious group, and then recreated his own shitty version. It is so incredibly despicable. And the Freedom 250 was not what this was supposed to be at all. There was something called America 250 that Trump then hijacked into Freedom 250. Take a look at this.
At the Great American State Fair in Washington, D.C., or as people are starting to call it, the American Scottish Willy Wonka experience.
But we're going to have special performances, patriotic music, high-tech demonstrations, and even an old-fashioned rodeo.
High-tech demonstrations. Where do you guys see the high-tech demonstrations?
I love rodeo.
One of the headline events announced by Donald Trump's 250th anniversary committee was the Great American State Fair. It's to take place here on the National Mall. It's 2 weeks, and it's a celebration of all things American, with stands representing all 50 states, a 100-foot tall Ferris wheel, and a rodeo. And I really wanted to love this event. It's right up my alley, but it's kind of rubbish. In fact, it's a bit like the Scottish Willy Wonka experience, but on a larger scale. And when I say larger scale, it's stretched over 3 fields the size of this one. If you wanted to visit the stands of all 50 states, you'd have to walk about 3 miles. Each state has got its own little room, which is mercifully air-conditioned.
This is the fucking high-quality technological shows that they put on. And like I said, I believe this is the Wyoming stand, the Wyoming tent, and you get to lasso a fucking chair, ladies and gentlemen. Like the highlight of your day. I'm not sure how much you spent because you couldn't get an ice cream because apparently the the power went out in the food tent, so that fucking all went to shit, right? So I'm not sure like how much you were actually going to go through, but apparently you guys lassoing the chair was the highlight of the day. Like I said, there was a few more. Let me see if we go back to here. There's a few more instances of people detailing this as well. There's another one. We went to the Great American State Fair yesterday, so you don't have to. Not a funnel cake, corn dog, bucket of lemonade, or fried Snickers in sight. The only ride is the Ferris wheel. It's not kind of a state fair at all. Saxophones were not added to this recording. And this is food hall at the Great American State Fair has lost power. They have food, but tell me all their ice cream has melted. It's like, Jesus, you can't even get the ice cream stand right. And then you got Fox doing their propaganda. John Aravosis doing his reporting from the state fair. Not looking like there's too many people around here. But again, it goes on. A lot of people detailing the emptiness, let's just say, of it. They decided not to participate because of the high cost. So the booth is sponsored by private organizations. And again, a lot of this was just, I think a couple of them was just chairs set up. So like I know they detailed the Connecticut one, and you might still see it there in the Adam video, the Mockler video. But the Maine and the Connecticut one was just literally 2 chairs. The thing in the background that said Maine and Connecticut. Now is that, you know what I mean? So imagine you walk 3 miles to go see 2 chairs and a thing that said Maine. Here's another one. A view from atop the Ferris wheel, the Great American State Fair. This is Dean Cain, right? Yeah, look at all the fucking people there. Whoa! Jesus, I'm surprised they didn't have a problem with crowd control, right? I'm surprised the fire marshal didn't shut this shit down right the goddamn away. All right, let's just finish this guy's recounting of his time going around this American State Fair, and then we'll jump on to a little bit of the craziness taking place in the Strait of Hormuz and with the Iran MOU.
The exhibits is somewhat inconsistent. Wyoming gets a shout out because they let you try lassoing chairs with horns on them. On the other hand, a lot of the booths are just rooms with a couple of posters and some chairs.
Look at it. That's what the main thing was. I mean, if you walked all the way, I don't know where you parked or where you entered or where the hell this, the main thing was located. But imagine you walked through all those fields to get to the main thing to be like, yeah, what awesome technological show, what marvel are we going to see at the Maine booth? And you walked in and it was 2 chairs and a thing that said Maine, the Pine Tree State. And then there was the Connecticut one.
What did Maine do? What did Maine do to deserve simply 2 chairs and nothing else?
Well, I think we can all assume it's probably something to do with Grand Platina, right? I'm sure they're not too happy about that, so they're trying to stick it to it. But that's probably not right because this seemed to be a consistent theme throughout a lot of the states here.
Every government department has its own booth as well. And let me tell you, the Homeland Security booth is a barrel of laughs. At the end of each field, there's a big exhibition. But there's no particular theme to any of it. It's just, whoever they could get to turn up.
Look how shallow this is. It's like the shell.
Look at it. It looks like a fucking, I don't know. It looks like it was produced by a high school. You know what I mean? And, no shots at high schools, but it looks like a science fair, you know what I mean? In a gymnasium at your high school. Like, yeah, set up your own tent, set up your own little fucking area, kids. Here's your table. Here's your little tablecloth. Whatever poster board you made, set that up behind you. And then we'll come around with the judges and you guys can show us whatever project you worked on. Like, that's the vibe that I'm getting here. This isn't like, the outstanding celebration of the 250th anniversary of this country put on by the federal government so that everybody could see, like, how unbelievably awesome we are. I mean, it falls in line with what our government's responsible for and capable of. But, you know what I mean? Like, could have done a little better, maybe.
Of a fair. It's a shell of a fair. It's not real. There's no real turnout. There were power outages on the first few nights of the fair, meaning the Ferris wheel wasn't working on Thursday night. There's nowhere to.
I didn't even hear that one. No fucking ice cream and no Ferris wheel. Jesus, that's no longer a fair, right? If you don't have fried dough, right? If you don't have like random foods being dipped in oil and shit and covered in cinnamon and sugar, is it truly a fair? Are there any pigs at least? I know they said they had a rodeo. I'm dying to know what that rodeo consisted of.
Sit for children, so they have to sit on the ground when eating, and when they do eat, food is like $20 to $30 just to get.
Yeah, that's another thing that people were talking about. I think Tiff even sent me kind of a screenshot of some of the prices for the food, and not really something that the struggling American public right now were going to be too kind of, I don't know, joyful to pay, let's just say, or too quick to pay for those things. What was it like? Some of the waters was, what was it, 5, 6, 7, something like that, $10 for a water or some bullshit?
Anything. The hamburgers there are over $20, and all of that is about
$20 burgers. Jesus. $20 burgers. Yep. Nothing says affordability like $20 fucking burgers. And that's probably just the burger, not with the fries, not with the drink. You know what I mean?
Mentioning that it's not even really a fair. There's no fair food. Apparently, there's just burgers that you can grab. There's even a section where you can get baptized. There's a section where you can listen to bad music.
Exhibitions by an artist who only ever paints the American flag. And he's come to do a live painting of a
section where you can get baptized is fucking diabolical. So much for the separation of church and state, which, again, they say is also not a thing. But, when you say we dive on, there's not too much more of that. Like I said, you can go to, I believe the Mirror on YouTube has this guy's video posted. You can see the kind of the entire recounting. We'll go through another 30 seconds because it's good.
Work of art of the American flag. If you go right up to the other end, which is, a fair old walk, there's a place where there's a booth from Truth Social, SpaceX, and TikTok right next to each other. And there are a few cool things to see.
The 250th anniversary of this country includes a fucking booth for Truth Social. Oh, wow. Oh, geez. You know what I mean? It's just really unfortunate. Really unfortunate that it had to coincide with Trump's second term here. You know what I'm saying? But the rest of this video from Adam does go on to detail how Donald Trump did hijack this from, again, what Adam called a serious organization that really wanted to turn this into something special and make it something a lot better than what you're seeing now, and that it was basically hijacked by Trump that turned it into his, Freedom 250 or whatever bullshit that he called it, and, what you're seeing on your screen right now. So, again, the rest of that video, and like I said, you've probably seen that going through your social media feed anyway, because it's got over 1 million views at this point. So, all right, let's dive into a little bit of, again, another disaster we'll have to detail, which is the MOU, because there's been a lot of happenings, let's just say. There's been a lot of back and forth between U.S., Iran, Israel, Hezbollah, again, putting a lot of strain on that MOU, which, again, we said was pretty much dead on arrival. Again, the red lines or the lines in the sand that were drawn by the Iranians seem to not being met. And they seem to continuously be pushing and proving the fact that those are red lines that they're going to stick to, whether it be with the Strait of Hormuz or with the actions of the Israeli military. So I just wanted to kind of catch us up to speed on what's been going on. We'll go through a bunch of these different posts. We'll take a look at what Donald Trump's been saying on Truth Social to, again, put this in further jeopardy to make it seem like a deal is never going to be come to, never going to be reached as far as that's concerned. We got some reporting here from Jennifer Griffin, who again works for Fox News. But you got to go to where the information is being told. So the White House makes only a small amount of phone calls, and it's pretty much to Trey Yinks, Jennifer Griffin and Fox News, or it's going to be Barack Ravid of Axios. So again, she's got some insight as to what's been taking place, and she asked a pretty poignant question to some of the U.S. officials, right? So how many times, if I asked you guys in the chat, right, if I asked you guys and I posed this question to you, how many times, with the military prowess that we have in the United States and the capabilities that Donald Trump again and again and again says that we have with the United States military, like how many times do you think that the United States military would have to strike a single target, right? A single target that they knew was either a radar station, a missile launch site, a drone launch site, had, a warehouse where it had some fast attack boats, whatever it may be. How many times do you think the United States would have to attack that one specific site before it was put out of action completely, before it was no longer able to be used, for military action or, to harm or to inhibit the Strait of Hormuz? Like, how many times do you think it would have to be attacked? Because it seems like we've attacked the same goddamn sites over and over and over and over again. Like, what are we actually doing at that point? Because it seems like we're expending a shitload of munitions on these sites without actually drawing any results. Like, so at what point do we say, okay, we've attacked this one site 15 fucking times and they're still either able to launch attacks from there, able to launch drones, able to launch missiles from there, able to somehow use that as a military command structure, whatever it may be. Like, at what point do you recognize, like, okay, maybe we need like another approach, or maybe that's not something we're actually going to be able to take out of contention for this war? Like, it's just, I'm curious, because Jennifer Griffin, I don't want to get ahead of myself, asked the U.S. military official that basic question, like, why are these strikes happening on the same, Sirik, Bandar Abbas? Like, we've seen it over and over and over again. Like, are the Iranians just that quick at rebuilding these structures? Or again, are you missing them totally when you're going to target them? Are they bombs not having the desired effect? What is the reason that we're attacking these sites time and time again? But let's start at the beginning here. We'll start with the Hormuz letter, because they have a couple updates that we want to go through. And again, we're just going to work our way up to, the current timeline. So this is June 26th. This was reported. So it says, following the UAE's nationwide missile threat alert with explosions heard in Dubai minutes ago, initial reports indicate at least one vessel was hit near the Strait of Hormuz after two ships violated the IRGC Navy route orders and docked off Dubai port. So again, I just want to pick up here because this is pretty much much where we left off the last time, where, the Omanis were kind of corralling the shipping into the Iranian route of the Strait of Hormuz after the ships were actually attacked there. So this says this is the second attack on vessels in 24 hours after Iran's IRGC attacked a Singapore flag cargo ship in the southern corridor following Iran's warning. So that's the one that we were reporting on. So I just want to kind of, like I said, work our way up and let you know everything that's been going on and how ridiculous it is to continue to call this a ceasefire, and how, again, dead in the water, dead on arrival, whatever you want to call this MOU seems to be, even though both sides still, to a certain degree of propaganda, have this, willingness to suggest it's still in effect, or, still talked about, or a finalized agreement is still something that's possible to come out with. I don't know, because clearly what we're seeing take place in reality and on the ground details a whole nother story. So let's just continue here. It says, this was again June 26th, says, breaking for the first time since early April, U.S.-Iran ceasefire. Trump says Iran violated the ceasefire after it shot at least 4 one-way attack drones at ships traversing the Strait of Hormuz, referencing yesterday's IRGC attack damaging one ship in the southern Omani sector there of the Strait of Hormuz. He calls it a foolish violation of our ceasefire. Again, this goes on to say Iran strongly rejects U.S. officials' claims that a direct communication line between Iran and the U.S. over the Strait of Hormuz has been established, calling it a complete lie. So that's something that we heard from J.D. Vance. He was touting this after coming out of his talks. Was they had basically opened this line of communications between Israel, between Hezbollah and the parties involved, so that they could communicate after a strike, so that it didn't lead to immediate retaliation. Well, again, that seems to be repudiated here by the Iranian side, which say that is a complete lie. It has not happened and will not happen, asserting that the Strait of Hormuz is Iranian territory and has no connection with the United States. Iran also declares that there is absolutely no way to return the Strait of Hormuz to its pre-war status. So again, this is right in line with the MOU says. So they weren't going to charge tolls, but I think it agrees to that only to 60 days, right? And I'm pretty sure that it specifies only for that 60 days. And then after that, it seems like they're ready, able, and willing to start charging tolls. This is why we've seen kind of the corralling of the ships from the Omani side of the corridor of the Strait of Hormuz to the Iranian side, so that they could have that control, whether it be through the insurances, whether that be charging tolls. But with these recent strikes, that's obviously going to put a hamper on whatever oil, whatever shipping was actually making its way through the Strait of Hormuz, which was, mainly the Iranian oil going to places like China and such. But again, there are going to be companies that look at this. There are going to be insurance companies and shipping companies that look at this and say, it's still not open. It's still not safe. I'm not sending my cargo vessels. I'm not sending my oil. I'm not sending my captain and my crew through the Strait of Hormuz. Again, thus putting the clamp down on, again, whatever benefits were being seen through whatever, ridiculous, nature of this ceasefire was actually in existence. So this also says, breaking, more than 3 consecutive explosions heard in the Strait of Hormuz near Sirak, southern Iran, per IRIB. This comes shortly after Trump, when asked about potential U.S. response to Iran's recent attacks on the vessels in the Strait, replied, "You will find out." So again, we're just kind of working way up to the current timeline. So obviously we're going to find out the reporting that we found that came out from those strikes. So it says here, the U.S. military is currently conducting strikes in the area of the Strait of Hormuz. Goes on to say that the U.S. forces struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations and coastal radar sites today as response to Iran's drone attack yesterday on a cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz, per CENTCOM. Now, what question does that bring up, right? What question does that bring up? We'll read that one more time. So this is June 26th. U.S. forces struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations and coastal radar sites today as a response to Iran's drone attack yesterday on a cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz. How the fuck are those still there? After thousands and thousands of strikes. I don't know. I've lost track of the number of strikes that CENTCOM has said that they've, perpetrated in and around Iran. It was thousands, 10,000, 15,000, something in that range. How the fuck do they still have missile and drone storage locations, coastal radar sites, right? I'm just curious. It just seems to be like, the opposite of what Donald Trump says. How that all that they have no radar, they have no missiles, they have no drones. Well, if they have no missiles and no drones, why the fuck do they need the storage locations? You know what I mean? If they have nothing to store, you guys wouldn't be hitting the storage locations. Why do they have the storage locations left? Are you guys, again, not being effective with your strikes? Did you miss this? Did you not have like this listed on your target list and it just kind of slipped through the crack? Like that's the question I would ask. You know what I mean? But we'll go on because this says the IRGC announced it has struck multiple high-value U.S. Army positions in the region, including in response to today's U.S. strikes on Iranian coast near the Strait of Hormuz. This is per Tasnim. And this says that according to the Clause 5 of the Islamabad MOU, the arrangements for controlling the passage and traffic in the Strait of Hormuz are under the authority of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Warning: if the aggression is repeated, our response will be broader than this. Excuse me. So again, threatening the complete closure of the Strait of Hormuz, and obviously even expanding further than that. So we continue. This was reported yesterday by the Hormuz letter. It says the Pentagon deliberately delayed publicly announcing yesterday's U.S. strikes on Iran until after financial markets had closed at 4 p.m. on Friday, with the timing intended to reduce the immediate impact on financial markets, including oil prices per NBC. The strikes were publicly confirmed just 30 minutes after market close. Once again, this is market manipulation, something that has been a very consistent through line from Donald Trump's second term here, right? Whether it be with the tariffs, right? And, we're going to keep the tariffs on. We're going to take the tariffs off. It's going to be 50% for that country. No, now it's going to be 25% for that country. And then we heard all the people playing the stock market behind the scenes, knowing that it was either going to go up based on what Donald Trump said or going to go down based on what Donald Trump announced and the U.S. announced. Well, same thing happening here, right? A very, very purposefully done to announce it at the time that they announced it so that it didn't have an impact on their precious stock market, on their precious, price of oil, because that's what they've been doing this entire time, right? Monday announced that peace is near. Friday announced the complete and total eradication of the Iranian population, and just kind of rinse and repeat. And people have been playing the stock market based off of that knowledge. People that know what Donald Trump's going to announce, know what he's going to post on Truth Social, know when the bombings are going to start happening, right? That's how they're playing the stock market. So more manipulation that we could see here. This is also reported that an oil tanker has been struck and damaged by a projectile in the U.S.-backed southern shipping corridor of the Strait of Hormuz per UK MTO. This is the first oil tanker attack since the MOU was signed and follows Thursday's IRGC attacks on a Singapore flag cargo ship and vessel near Dubai port. So just again, detailing the ongoing chaos and the nature and the ridiculousness of calling this a ceasefire still. This was, again, posted yesterday. Hormuz letter says Iranian negotiators are considering completely canceling the technical talks in Switzerland scheduled for June 28th and 29th, following yesterday's U.S. strikes on Syriac and southern Iran. Per Iran nuances, negotiators believe that the blatant violation of Article 1 of the MOU must be responded to by halting all negotiations, including the rest of the 60-day period. So, again, showing you how much on a knife's edge this entire process is. At any second now, the Iranians could walk away from this entire process, close down the Strait of Hormuz, and we're back to square one, right? So, it seems to be more likely that takes place than an actual finalized agreement comes to fruition based upon what we're seeing on the ground, based upon the rhetoric from the United States, based upon the unwillingness by the Iranians to capitulate to whatever Donald Trump says they need to capitulate to. It just hasn't happened. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But this goes on to say that the U.S. is attacking Syriac, southern Iran, with several explosions heard in the Strait of Hormuz. This is the second U.S. strike in Syriac in 24 hours. After yesterday's strikes on Iranian targets, U.S. has launched massive attack targeting Iranian military surveillance infrastructure, communication systems, air defense sites, drone storage facilities, mine layer capabilities in response to Iran's attack on the Panama flag tanker carrying more than 2 million barrels of crude oil that was transiting near the Strait of Hormuz this morning. So again, not only detailing the ongoing attacks and strikes that are happening right this second, but also the fact that Iran still has all this military infrastructure in place, right? Whether it be surveillance infrastructure, communication systems, air defense sites, drone storage facilities, mine layer capabilities, all things that Donald Trump wanted you to believe they didn't have anymore. Like, they have none of that. They have no military. They have no Navy. They have no anything to use against us. Meanwhile, we still have all of these targets on a list that they are utilizing, that are justifiable military targets that they have, in their possession still. This also goes on to say that Iran is launching drones and missiles at U.S. positions in Bahrain, with large explosions heard in Manama, and air defenses activated minutes ago. Again, this was 17 hours ago, so we're continuously working our way up to the current timeline. This was also also reported 17 hours ago, Iran is now launching multiple drones and ballistic missiles at U.S. military assets in Kuwait shortly after Bahrain in response to U.S. strikes on southern Iran. A source close to Iran's Galabaf says, quote, Iran is launching a massive drone and missile attack on U.S. bases and assets in the region. And we'll get more on that as well, because this goes on to say Iran's IRGC announced it launched ballistic missiles and drones at 8 U.S. military bases, striking the U.S. Fifth Fleet at Salman Port in Bahrain and the Ali Al Salem base in Kuwait, destroying them and decisively responding to recent U.S. aggressions. That's per Tasnim. The IRGC declares that the U.S. strikes violated Article 1 of the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding and will result in a total halt of all processes. The statement adds that from now on, violating vessels will be dealt with more strongly than in the past and will face a crushing response. Again, basically showing that anybody that wants to travel through the unofficial routes of the Strait of Hormuz is going to pay the price, thus making it so that these like insurance companies, like I said, the shipping companies in general are probably going to play ball, whether that's play ball with insurances, play ball with the routes that they're taking, or play ball with the fees after whatever 60-day timeline, goes into effect there. That's what probably they're going to do, considering the willingness and the ability the Iranians still have to hit these ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Let's see here. It also goes on to say that the Iranian state media says now it has no choice but to obtain the atomic bomb to remove, quote, the military option for the occupation and partitioning of Iran from the table, arguing Iran must absolutely reach nuclear deterrence before current negotiations can be conducted from a current position. That was per Fars. So Iran adds the acquisition is not only driven by negotiation leverage, but also by Trump's 2 recent nuclear threats against Iran, including his April warning that, quote, the whole civilization will die tonight, and his May threat of, quote, one big glow coming out of Iran. This is also amongst the most direct nuclear weapons advocacy published on the Iranian state media to date. So we seem to be going backwards in that regard as well. We've talked about this. The more you guys break negotiations, the more that you show people and bad players all over the world, the only way that people or the United States will respect you is if you have nuclear weapons. It's only going to push people in countries to try to acquire those nuclear weapons more rapidly and at any cost, right? Or again, just to accrue the biggest maybe missile or stockpile that they possibly can to make it so that they have a barrier. At least they have that to negotiate with, or at least that to stop other countries from trying to either invade their territory or bomb their territory with an air force. At least they can think about that: ballistic missiles, drones, whatever it may be. Stock up on that stockpile. But again, the ultimate say fuck you to the United States. The ultimate, hey, you have to respect us. Per what the United States has done on the geopolitical stage with their foreign policy is basically you need a nuclear weapon. You know what I mean? That's and again, it's not something we want to see happen with a lot of the cases, as far as a lot of the countries that we now talk about. But that seems to be the only way that you can kind of get ahead, or at least get a seat at the table, per with the United States there. So let's see if we can go on. This is 49 minutes ago. It says that the upcoming U.S.-Iran talks in Switzerland have now been completely canceled due to yesterday's attacks in the Strait of Hormuz, per I-24 News. This follows Iran's IRGC declaration that U.S. strikes violated the Article 1 of the MOU and will result in the total halt of all processes. So again, seems to be dead on arrival, as it were, with the MOU. It doesn't seem like either side is willing to, capitulate to the other, or capitulate as far as these strikes are concerned. They continue to happen, whether that be with Israel and Hezbollah, or whether that be with Iran and the United States as well. But what they're talking about, what they're referencing there, and why it seems to be that all of these players are now recognizing that nuclear weapon seems to be the only way to get to the table with some kind of some equal footing with the United States, is shit like this. Shit like this posted by the president, where he says United States aircraft just struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations that he said didn't exist, right? He says they didn't have anymore. They have no more drones. They got no more missiles. They got nothing. So why would they need a storage facility? He also goes on to say coastal radar sites, which he said they didn't have. No more radar sites, no more ability to track our planes. These are, again, direct quotes from the President of the United States for violating the ceasefire and agreement, somehow capitalized for some reason. And then it says, it is very possible that they will never learn. There may come a point when we are no longer able to be reasonable and will be forced to militarily complete the job that we very successfully started. If that happens, the Islamic Republic of Iran will no longer exist. Again, a clear threat, a clear indication that he's willing to go to the extent of, again, eliminating the entirety of the population of Iran with the glow, or whatever he said in his like ridiculous post, insane post that he's put on Truth Social before. This is just, add that to the list. If this happens, he says the Islamic Republic of Iran will no longer exist, thus determining that he will wipe it off the face of the map there. So, there's a couple more posts detailing some of the craziness. This was by OSINT Defender as well. And like I said, I just feel like we could kind of walk our way through some of the reporting and get to the current timeline here. But this is early reports indicate that Israel has conducted an airstrike, likely against Lebanese Hezbollah targets and infrastructure in Nabatea el-Fakwa in southern Lebanon. More to come. And again, this just kind of goes on. U.S. Central Command has announced that additional rounds of self-defense airstrikes have been carried out against multiple targets in Iran following the successful Iranian targeting of the motor tanker Kiku as it transited the Strait of Hormuz near Oman this morning. So some of the overlapping on reporting there, but it goes on to say that according to Fox News' Jennifer Griffin last night, following the U.S. retaliatory strikes against select targets inside Iran, Iran responded by striking U.S. forces in Bahrain. Per the report, 9 one-way attack drones were shot down during the wave of strikes, and no damage or injuries were reported. Let me see here. This also goes on to talk about the aftermath of the Venezuela earthquakes there. Talks about Donald Trump's post there. I think there was a couple other ones. Yeah, there was this as well, because this talks about the strikes here by Iran. It goes on to say, following U.S. retaliatory strikes against select targets in Iran, both Bahrain and Kuwait are now dealing with renewed Iranian drone and missile attacks. Again, this was 17 hours ago, with Kuwait's general staff saying just earlier that air defense systems are intercepting hostile targets. Here's the post there by the general staff of the Kuwaiti Armed Forces. As you can see, this is also developing at the same time inside of Iraq. It says heavy armor and security forces are on the move inside the Green Zone in Baghdad, amid unconfirmed reports of arrest of Iraqi politicians. So you can see here kind of the armor going by in the background. So again, just seems to be unmitigated disasters happening all over the place. Donald Trump, and we've called this before. We called this when, you destabilize a region, that typically leads to more destabilization. Like when you inject this chaos and you inject the bombing and the missiles going back and forth and this the military structure that's going on, like it tends to lead to more people and bad actors that want to take power, that see themselves kind of in the shadows, that, have some sort of, militant group acting on their behalf. Basically, it just leads them to trying to take power, right? I'm not saying that's what's taking place here, but, it usually gives people the opportunity to do whatever they want to do, right? When there seems to be no justice, no law, militaries are doing and acting whatever they want to do, proxies are doing and acting the way that they want to act. It seems to lead to just more chaos. So, as we see heavy armor and security forces on the move inside the Green Zone in Baghdad, probably not a great thing, right? Probably adding to the instability, we'll say. This says, following reports of Iraqi armor activity in the Green Zone in Baghdad, reports also indicate that a number of politicians, including Sunni politician Muthana al-Samadi, have been arrested per reports of the local media. The crackdown is supposedly subordinate to ongoing corruption investigations spearheaded by Iraq's new Prime Minister Ali al-Zadi. Al-Zadi has close ties to Iran through his bank, it says. And again, this is just more details coming out from CENTCOM, I believe, on more of their retaliatory strikes against Iran. Following the announcement of U.S. retaliatory strikes against select targets in Iran, U.S. CENTCOM has released the footage showing strikes against 10 separate targets inside Iran and also the Strait of Hormuz. See if there's anything else. Yeah. Following the recent Iranian drone and missile attacks on Kuwait and Bahrain, the IRGC said that 8 U.S. bases or eight U.S. military infrastructure sites have been targeted in a combined drone and missile strike by the IRGC Navy and Aerospace Forces. This says that per the release from the IRGC, they targeted Ali Salem Air Base in Kuwait and the U.S. 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. Let's see here if there's anything else. I don't know if there's any footage coming out from that. This is also detailing that Iran's foreign minister was in Iraq as well. A message from the Defender team. So that's from the Defender. So I think that was it. Let's go on to the reporting here from Jennifer Griffin and see if there's anything that we missed This was, again, 20 hours ago, and we'll just kind of work our way up. This says U.S. official tells me U.S. is carrying out a new round of airstrikes against Iran right now in response to the IRGC hitting a ship, and we'll just kind of work our way forward. More from the senior U.S. official. Iran responded last night with attacks on U.S. forces in Bahrain. The U.S. and Bahrain forces combined to shoot down 9 Iranian one-way attack drones. It says no damage or personnel injuries, according to senior U.S. officials. Again, I don't think that was what the Iranian side said. But we'll go on to see if there's any footage from that, or if there's any confirmation from who is actually telling the truth as far as that's concerned, because unfortunately you can't take CENTCOM's word for it any more than you can take the Iranians' word for it at this point. This goes on to say, and like I said, reported 19 hours ago by Jennifer Griffin, U.S. defense official tells me U.S. strikes on Iranian targets tonight is complete. The second round of strikes followed a second ship being hit by the IRGC in the Strait of Hormuz at 4:30 a.m. 9 one-way attack drones being fired at Iran at a base in Bahrain last night, U.S. officials said, while confirming tonight's round of airstrikes is complete. This is where she goes on to ask this senior U.S. official. So this is just what I wanted to talk about. It says, I asked a senior U.S. official why the U.S. has had to go back and restrike these sites that have been hit multiple times since February 28th when the war began. I was told that Iran has reconstituted its air defense and missile systems along the Strait of Hormuz since the U.S. bombing campaign ended on April 7th. That, the source said, is why the U.S. military is now having to restrike areas like Qasem Island and Sirik, which they had struck in the past. Quote, in the time since the ceasefire on April 7th, Iran has reconstituted thus the targets around the Strait of Hormuz. A senior official tells me there's a lot that is damaged, but they still move things in and around. It's been 10 weeks since the April ceasefire was announced. So again, showing not only the ability Iran has to, I guess, either rebuild or to, bring further weaponry into these sites, but also the fact that, we're going to have to continue to hit these bases. We're going to have to continue to hit these sites if we're going to, want to officially eradicate their military capabilities, because apparently, like we said, and we continue to point out, Donald Trump said they have none of these. They have no radar sites. They have no drone sites. They have no drone launchers. They have no missile launchers. They have nothing. No Navy, no aircraft, no leadership. They're done. They got absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, CENTCOM in the United States military continues to detail a lot of different things. They continue to detail not only the sites that have been struck, but the Iranians have rebuilt or, again, reconstituted their air defense systems in those areas, again, showing that they have air defense systems. You know what I mean? So you got to read between the lines on this shit. They try to make it seem like it's not that bad and we're just kind of carrying things out, as it were. And this is kind of, by the book and everything's to the letter. But really, we being told by the president of the United States that Iran has no air defense systems left. They have none of these things left. Meanwhile, the United States intelligence agencies and the U.S. military are saying completely, totally different things. You know what I mean? So I feel like it was a good question there asked by Jennifer Griffin. Like, why the hell, what the fuck are you guys doing over there? Like, you guys have hit this thing fucking 25 times already. Like, are they just that good at rebuilding? You guys that ineffective with your strikes? Are they still having that much capability? Do they have that much potential left where it's necessary to continue to strike these same sites, 15, 20 times? So again, it just paints a different picture than the United States government is painting for its, for this country, for you guys and for us. But let's see here, because this was Dolphin Iran. And like I said, we're just going to go through as many of these sites and posts as we possibly can to see if we can catch up on everything that's been taking place. And again, just detail the ridiculousness of this situation, the chaos of this situation. And this is Dolphin Iran, which I believe, people have suspected is kind of closely affiliated with some of the higher ranking members of the Iranian side. So he's typically, or he or she's typically got some pretty good insight as to what's taking place, or at least has got some messaging from the Iranian side. So I just wanted to see if there was anything posted here that is necessarily poignant to get into. This says June 27th, so reported yesterday, at least 20 American centers in the region, including military bases and diplomatic facilities, have been destroyed in the war with Iran. New data shows, and Washington is reassessing its military presence in the Middle East. Again, showing the level of devastation, the level of destruction that the bases and different pieces of U.S. infrastructure have seen in the Gulf nations since this whole thing started. This also says that operational assessment. Currently, the Israeli regime army is deployed approximately 10 kilometers inside Lebanese territory. Forces of the 36th Division are operating in the Ali al-Tahrir mountain range, the village of Tabnit, and its surroundings while forces of the 91st Division are present in the Majjal Zun area about 10 kilometers from the border. Withdrawal from Lebanese soil is a condition for Iran's fulfillment of its commitments. According to the Memorandum of Understanding with America, Iran's assessment is that America and the regime have reached an agreement behind the scenes regarding non-withdrawal from Lebanon. But this goes on to pretty much detail that they know exactly, and again, how accurate this is kind of take it with a grain of salt is anybody's guess, but it's trying to detail at least their ability, their knowledge of where these separate Israeli forces are, to make it seem like, hey, we know what's going on, we can see you, but this is part of the MOU of you guys to get the fuck out of there. So just to let you know, we got eyes on, basically, is what I gather from that one. This also goes on to say the Israeli regime is discreetly repositioning the army's deployment line in southern Lebanon. Just kind of, again, these posts just showing you, hey, we see you, we know what's going on, just to let everybody else know as well, type of thing. This also says Iran's insistence on stabilizing the Iranian route in the Strait of Hormuz has put the United States in a bind. Despite multiple military efforts to establish a new route, the U.S. has no choice but to select between two options: accepting Iran's route or re-entering military tensions. The clause regarding the Strait of Hormuz in the memorandum specifies that it is Iran that will implement the arrangements in the Strait of Hormuz. There is a possibility of escalating military tensions in the coming hours, and that's exactly what we saw, because it says the Israeli regime has capitulated to Iran's pressure to withdraw from the Naqoura area. The regime has carried out this action under the cover of an agreement with the Lebanese government. Again, just detailing some of the updates coming from this area. The United States has launched strikes on targets in the Strait of Hormuz in response to Iran's attacks over the past 2 days. So again, as you can see there, they were suspecting violence. They were suspecting attacks, and that's exactly what we got not long after that post. Iran is launching massive drone and missile attacks on U.S. bases and assets in the region. I just want to see if they detail any destruction or any, confirmed strikes on these bases, because like you just heard from Jennifer Griffin, apparently CENTCOM is reporting that all 8 or 9 one-way attack drones were intercepted, and that no damage was taken by any of the bases and no personnel was hit. So I'm just curious if the other side is reporting anything different. This says Iran has destroyed all new military infrastructure in the United States in 8 locations, including Ali Al Salem Air Base in Kuwait and Salman Air Base in Bahrain during today's early morning attacks. Additionally, it has been decided to intensify measures against violating ships in the Strait of Hormuz. So I don't know if that's kind of a roundabout way of them trying to say that they actually had some effective strikes, some confirmed strikes on some of these bases here. But again, it almost seems like what the United States is doing at this point. You know what I mean? They've hit these bases time and time again, to the point where the United States can't even calculate how much damage has been done. So again, I bet it's just like, them showing they still have not only the ability, but the willingness to continue to hit not only that site, but also other sites is what that's showing. But it's like the United States continuing to hit the sites inside and around the Strait of Hormuz. They've hit the same ones 15, 20, 25 times at this point. Meanwhile, every time we see them, it seems to be the Iranians have either rebuilt or reconstituted their air defense systems in that area as well. But just like I said, detailing some of the ridiculousness and the chaos coming from this shitty MOU, something that was dead on arrival, in our opinion, well before this point even came to fruition. The lines in the sand that were drawn didn't seem to be going to be met by either side, right? What was being requested by the United States didn't seem like the Iranians were going to play ball, and what the Iranians were stipulating didn't seem like the United States was going to play ball. Even with the amount that the Iranians are coming out of this with, the billions and billions and billions of dollars, the control over the Strait of Hormuz, like, we still haven't even gotten to that point. You know what I mean? So just to kind of show you that this thing is on a knife's edge, and the, again, ongoing ridiculousness of calling it a ceasefire, as all the reporting that we just detailed is about firing and not the ceasing of firing. Right? So that's, about all you need to know as far as why it's ridiculous to continue to call it a ceasefire. But all right, let's throw this on the screen. I'm sure that you guys have seen this, and I just want to call this out because it's absolutely ridiculous. Okay. Absolutely ridiculous. Almost slipped back to 1999 on that one. That's how stupid this is. But Jesus H. Christ, what are we doing here? What the fuck are we doing? Right. And as Aaron Rupa posts here, says Kim Jong-un thinks this is a bit much. And this is the new passport, apparently, or at least what's going to be on the new passport, per Donald J. Trump. And let's just see if we can look at this. Let's just see if we can use our minds, our brains, and some logical thinking, and to see why this is ridiculous and why this is insane and so friggin' stupid, right? Okay, so it says, posted by Donald Trump, the USA's new passport, which says, welcome, but be good. Okay. So can we run down that? And I'm just curious if the chat gets it first. Just curious if the chat gets this first. And if you can just gather why this is so fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Just absolutely fucking stupid. What's typically the reason, a United States citizen would get a passport? What do they typically utilize that passport to do? Right? Typically to go from the United States elsewhere. You know what I mean? Typically go from their home, wherever it may be in the United States, to another country. So why the fuck would you say welcome but be good? Who are you welcoming? Right? Are you welcoming the U.S. citizens? Because typically they're the ones that get these fucking things, right? You know what I'm saying? So what are we doing? What are we doing? So this guy, has to put his face and his name on everything. Now it's the passport, but he's just making us look like utter incompetent fools even further on the world stage. Like I said, typically, right, Bry's got it. We leave the country. Where'd you go? Yeah, there he is. We leave the country with the passport. So who are you welcoming? Like, you're not welcoming people. You don't welcome people into your country with the United States passport. Do you understand that? So what I think he's trying to do is welcome people in the country, but tell them, hey, be good, because otherwise, we'll be right there with ICE to come fucking scoop you up if you're not following the rules and the laws and you don't love and, smooch all over America enough. That's what I'm gathering from that. Welcome, but be good. Welcoming people into the country, but telling them, hey, behave your fucking selves, right? Why is that on a United States passport? Why would that be on a U.S. passport? Again, utilized to leave the fucking country. You know what I mean? Wouldn't it say, hey, have a nice trip, but, be good elsewhere? You know what I mean? Respect other countries. Enjoy your time there. Like that would be more logical. Like that would make more fucking sense than this. Welcome, be good on the U.S. passport that a U.S. citizen would get to leave the country. Like, just in the incompetency never fucking ceases to amaze me. Like, nobody saw this. And again, I know Donald Trump's a decrepit old fucking deranged fool. Understood. Completely understood. But there's nobody like lower on the totem pole that was like, boss, just to let you know, these passports usually, so people could leave the country. I know you do want to welcome people, but you're not necessarily welcoming anybody into the country with a U.S. passport, right? Typically, people from other country have their own passports when they come to the country. So if you wanted to welcome people, I guess you'd have to write on every other country's passport. Welcome, but be good. Not on our own, dickhead. It's unreal. It's fucking unreal. You know what I mean? Just when you thought this fucking clown show couldn't get any stupider, you got the Great American Fair with about 37 people that attended. You got this dickhead building arches to himself. You got him screwing up the reflecting pool. You know what I mean? It's just like, God damn it. It's fucking unreal. I mean, and that's just like a fraction of the things. You know what I mean? That's just, like I said, we could be here for the entirety of the 2-hour program, the entirety of the 2-hour podcast, just listing all of the things that he's fucked up. But that's just a few of them. But yeah, I just wanted to just make sure that everybody recognized how ridiculous that was, how stupid that was, and how much it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. All right. Next thing I wanted to talk about, and appreciate you guys in the chat there. Very much appreciate you for, the gifts and the appreciation that you guys show, whether that through the Venmo up in the corner, the super chats there in the chat, or you guys, super stickers, all those things. You can donate memberships as well. You can sign up for membership yourself just underneath me. And you can also head to patreon.com/BostonBrian. You can also grab some fantastic merch, right? Another way to keep this channel going, another way to support this channel that, again, doesn't put any ads in its podcasts or live streams, doesn't charge you for any content, never hides any of its content behind a paywall, doesn't charge for Substack, nothing like that. So if you do want to, reach out and show some appreciation, if you do want to contribute to, an independent channel, you can either head over to bostonbrian.com and click on the link that takes you to the Blunt Politics merch shop, or again, you can donate through Venmo, the super chats, you can sign up for the Patreon, you can sign up for the memberships. All of those great things help to boost this channel. We're trying to get to 25,000 subscribers by the time midterm elections roll around. So if you could help us get there, that would be fantastic. But let's throw this on the screen real quick, because this is pretty well done here, as usual, by United 24. And this is just kind of detailing the aspects of what it's like living close to the front lines. This is detailing the the way of life now in Druskivka, which is very close to the front there, very close to Konstantinivka, which has been in the headlines very recently, obviously detailing the push that the Russians are making into that city after what has been a very long haul. I don't want to make it seem like they've done it rapidly by any stretch of the imagination, but we're at the point that we're at. We have to recognize, kind of the inefficiencies and kind of the issues now being faced, especially in that one area. I'm not saying that's, the entirety by any stretch. Obviously, we've seen large and widespread fuel shortages. We've seen increased Ukrainian attacks inside of Russia into Crimea. So again, just in this one area through near Konstantinivka, which is the, kind of that first fortress belt city that the Russians seem to be kind of making their way into, which is why obviously I think it's getting the attention in the headlines. But this is Druskivka, again, just kind of detailing the way that, any of the citizens, any of the residents that have stuck around, the way that they've been living their life, and obviously the way that the military has to consistently be shooting down drones in the skies, just kind of what it's like living that close to the front at this point in time, this deep into this war. So again, this is only about 5 minutes, 34 seconds, but I thought it was very well done. Gives you an accurate look at what's going on. And this is detailed, this is titled Shopping Trips and Shooting Down Drones in Druskivka with the 93rd Brigade, Koldenier Yar in the Ukraine front. So what do you say we take a look at this? Slava Ukraina, Heroyam Slava. I very much appreciate you guys for sticking with me, especially towards the end of the show. And now it's fucking Facebook that kicked me off. Nothing likes me today, for crying out loud. All right, let's see if we can fix this on the fly. I'm going to edit. No, I'm going to remove it. I'll just remove it, take it out, put it back. Sorry, didn't mean to word it that way. My apologies. You know what I was talking about? I was talking about the Facebook link. All right, let me see if I can hit the old save button on that. Is it going to let me do it? We're waiting for the check mark. All right, we got the check mark. We're back up on Facebook. My apologies. Don't know why. Typically, when I get into some of the more sensitive topics, one of the platforms decides to kick me off. The deep state being what it is, the algorithm being what it is. It doesn't typically like the topics that we are discussing on this platform here. So let's get into this. This is again put out by United 24, detailing a little bit of the life right now inside of Druskivka, or lack thereof, I should say. But what do you say? We get into this. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button. My name is Brian. This is Blunt Politics, and I really do appreciate the chat for sticking with me and making sure that this community continues to grow. So let's get into it here. And again, what would probably behoove me, and this would probably be smart of me to do, let's do this. I'm going to put this on the screen real quick, and I'm just going to show you because, again, not everybody is up to speed and up to date and knowledgeable about the whereabouts of these, Ukrainian towns and villages. So I just want to show you on the map really quick where we're talking about, and then you guys can see, how close it is to the front and what type of situation they're facing right now. So let's go down into the Konstantinivka area. So, sorry, went too far. Here's Konstantinivka here on the right side of your screen, just above my head. And here's Druskivka. All we're going to do is go this way. So here's Druskivka, right? So we could probably even take a ruler, and we'll detail from the center of Druskivka to the center of Konstantinivka. We got about 9.5 miles, 9.65 miles from Druskivka to the center of Konstantinivka there. So just detailing how close it is to the front, and obviously within, drone range, artillery range, all of those things for a considerable period of time. And now seeing this, ever creeping Russian advance coming into Konstantinivka, kind of the threats that now Druskivka is going to be facing, and kind of people that are going to have to make decisions whether or not they're going to stay or leave based upon obviously what happens in and around this battle in the days and weeks to come. So just to gather and let everybody know where we're talking about, so we don't just throw this on the screen and not tell you. Let's put this back on. So all right, here we go. Look it out of the way.
Druskivka, a city like many in Donbass. Slowly, death is replacing life. The church works, the market works, and the drones fly. Or roll. The Russians are close, approximately 20 kilometers. Between them and civilian life, the war. And the 93rd Brigade, Холодный Яр.
And we've taken a look. This isn't the first drone team that we've taken a look at. We've taken a lot, throughout the front there. And all of them, they seem to be getting better and better at this. You could just see there in a very successful downing of what, seemingly was a Russian drone flying over Druskivka there. So you can see very happy with themselves there. But, we've seen more and more of this have to take place, especially in and around these frontline cities where, there are still citizens there. There aren't many, but there are still citizens trying to go about daily life. You talked about in the opening there how the markets are open. Some of the other things are open, and there are still some people trying to go about their daily life as this is taking place in and around them. Right? Just think about how absolutely insane that would be, trying to go to the market as you have Russian drones flying one way, Ukrainian drones flying the other way, drone teams roaming the streets trying to protect the citizens, trying to make it so that the Russian drones can't fly even further. You know what I mean? So it's insane to think that this is how people, are continually having to live. But this is what the war looks like this far into a 72-hour operation in which the Russians thought they were going to take Kyiv, and that was going to be that. So. Just to further detail what's taking place. Like I said, we're in Druskivka, which is about, roughly 10 miles from Konstantinivka, which is seeing kind of the encirclement there, the attempted encirclement by the Russian military.
Ти попав, бро? Не знаю, я один зробив, блядь. Я теж один зробив, але не попав точно.
We finished the motherfucker. Did you film it? Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's go, guys. Split into 2 groups of 4, 1 on each side. We started out in Pomazanivka in the Kharkiv region, then Solidar, Bakhmut, Klishchivka, and Andriivka. When we were assaulting Andriivka, I lost part of my finger. We started as an assault unit, and now we are a UAV battalion.
Some are not so lucky. Being here, staying here, or working here, you gamble with your life.
Кстати, берите.
Не-не-не.
берите.
Пожалуйста,
Хлопцы,
хотя бы дайте
берите.
сфотографировать, я вам потом скину. Я
Перестаньте.
очень прошу.
Перестаньте.
Пожалуйста.
Не обижайте меня.
А вы меня
А
обижаете.
вдруг я скоро сюда уеду, и так нет.
Пожалуйста.
Чётно, да.
A drone went through my garage today. It got it through the corner and go out through the main gate.
А машина, вы цели, все?
Yeah, we are good. It's a miracle that the car is okay. I had petrol and gas over staying there. I don't know how it didn't explode. Seems like it was assigned to work a bit here today.
53,000 people once lived
I mean,
here.
just how do you have that attitude? You know what I mean? It's amazing. It's an absolutely amazing sight to see. You know what I mean? Hey, yeah, I had a Russian drone go through my fucking garage today. Good news is, the car still works. And basically what it told me is I should come to work here for a couple of, it's just amazing the resilience that the Ukrainian people have, especially people this close to danger, this close to the front, experiencing what they're experiencing on a daily basis there. It really is amazing. The Ukrainian spirit there.
Found
And
it
it should be said, like he's about to go on and say, Druskivka was typically where, the journalists and people going to the front to have their time, stationed with different, brigades or battalions at the front. Typically, this is where they were meeting earlier on in the war. They were having their last cups of coffee. They were having their last meetings. The soldiers were getting to, as I believe he says here, to have their last cigarette or have a moment of peace with a cigarette before they go into the, to the heart of battle. And this is what it's turned into, after the slow, steady Russian creep that has cost them very dearly, I will add. But this is kind of the continuous degrading of the area that we've seen with the Ruski Mir. Anytime that the Russian military gets in and around a city, in and around a town, in and around a village, it just slowly degrades to shit because of obviously their attacks, their inability to let it resupply or to rebuild, and then this is what it ends up looking like after a period of time.
150 years ago, Druskivka was a city of industry. The French were here, the Belgians before it was occupied by the Germans during World War II, and in 2014, briefly by the Russians.
We need peace. I feel sorry about you. You should hang out with girls and make babies, and not sitting in the trenches in the heat. I wish it will be better soon.
Everything will be fine.
Come back home alive. Your parents are waiting for you. I'll be behind the corner before it gets here.
Does not even a reaction. Not even a fucking reaction to the to the automatic gunfire in the background, right? I mean, they just finished her conversation. There's gunfire going off in the background. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't move. She doesn't start walking quickly. They ask her. She even turns around and says, "Nah, don't worry about it. I'll be at the corner before that gets to me. Don't worry about it."
Come back home alive. Your parents are waiting for you.
Even the soldiers look up immediately. You see them? Like, as soon as they hear it, their immediate reaction is to look up. Obviously, that's what they've been trained to do, being the UAV squad. But, it's amazing how, like, you can get used to anything, or how they do get used to anything, and how, they manage to still try to go about their daily life with all of this happening around them. And, like, again, they're just how resilient they are. It's just, again, that's the word that I continue to come back to. But this, like, hard, strong, tough, resilient, made of steel. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. I know it's kind of been overly used to describe the people of especially different places in Ukraine, but it definitely fits. It definitely fits. So if the shoe fits, you got to wear it.
Alive. Your parents are waiting for you. I'll be behind the corner before it gets here. I'm getting used to it.
See? Just fucking a babushka going about her day. You know what I mean? Yeah, don't worry about the automatic gunfire. Don't worry about the drones. Like, I'm used to it by now. Like, if it's going to get me, it's going to get me type of thing. It's amazing. It really is amazing how much the humans in general can put up with or get used to with prolonged exposure to a certain thing. It's wild. You know what I mean? And I'm sure it's been long studied, but it's crazy to see with your own eyes this stuff taking place today, obviously in 2026.
Among those who stayed was the 2nd Rifle Battalion. We visited their headquarters to see firsthand how they're managing defense of the city.
It's mostly due to heavy enemy recon drone activity. Lately, the situation in Drushkivka has improved because of our constant fight against them. It's taking us less time to adapt here than it did in Kostiantynivka. Back then, we were just starting out and had no idea how to fight them. But now we are prepared. We have fire groups deployed all over.
And it's tough to know when this footage was actually filmed, in how much it compares to the circumstances of what we're talking about today in and around Konstantinivka, in and around Drushkivka here. But he's talking about the fact that they were in Konstantinivka, and it seems like to me that they have pulled back to Drushkivka, much like we've been talking about on the show, right? How Konstantinivka seems to be that first really fortress belt city that they're arriving at. But the benefit to the Ukrainians is not only that they have the rest of the fortress belt cities, but also they do have the settlements, the towns, and the villages behind Konstantinivka, like Drushkivka. So even if they needed to pull out, which I'm sure at some point they're doing the appropriate withdrawals, I'm sure they're doing a fighting retreat if necessary in some cases, but they still have those instances, they still have those villages, and they still have those towns to be able to make and use into defensive structures, which I'm sure they've been at and busy doing for quite some time, in case this were a thing, instead of having like the expansion of open field that is typically seen behind the the fortress belt cities. If once you start getting past that, it's a lot more open, and it seems to be a lot more easily traversed, as it were, by like armor or vehicles itself, rather than coming up against settlement after settlement after settlement after settlement, which is what the Ukrainians are relying upon now per that fortress belt of cities. And obviously, like I said, even if Konstantinivka does fall entirely, which I'm not saying it will, like I said, even the Ukrainians seem to be all on the same page as far as the likelihood that it will. It's just kind of a matter of time. But they still have the necessary ability. They still have the ability to go back and utilize the different defensive structures, the different defensive positions in and around these other towns and cities, which is, again, going to make it much more difficult. And it's just going to kind of start this whole ball rolling again for the Russians, where they're going to have to try to figure out another way to, again, get all the Ukrainians out of whatever village, town, or city that they might be in. So, it seems like that's what I'm gathering from here, where he said, when we were in Konstantinivka, we were just kind of starting out. Now we've kind of moved back, and we've been able to kind of reassess and develop our game, develop our tactics here. And, we've seen kind of, an improvement, actually. So, like I said, it's tough to know when this was filmed, but, that's what I'm gathering from what we're seeing.
Our electronic warfare is set up, so it's harder for them, and their activity has dropped. We haven't had electricity for a long time, and the heating cuts off at the end of February. But the main problem's the signal. I called to ask about evacuation on the 6th. They said they'd call me back. But I don't understand how if there's no signal. I'm running around under fire, just trying to find a signal. A car was burning over there. It belonged to the gas workers. Luckily, they got out before the drone hit it. They were just so glad they got lucky. The car doesn't have an anti-drone net or EW. You can clearly see it's a civilian vehicle.
We passed Sergei's information to the White Angels. Hopefully, he will make it. Hopefully, they will make it.
Воздух. Укриття. Сюди. Працюємо в своєму напрямку.
We have specific orders for our direction. We are carrying out those orders and we are destroying the enemy. This is our victory. This is our country, and we will defend it to the end.
I don't know. It's tough to tell. Is that a Cars for Ukraine or a NAFO vehicle in front? That looks like tough to tell. Tough to tell. But that may just be one of the NAFO vehicles from the 69th Cipher Brigade, or Cars for Ukraine, or I'm sure possible another organization. Great organizations that are affiliated and in the game of raising funds for vehicles for frontline soldiers there. But it's tough to tell what the red lettering is there. But it's definitely a possibility. Definitely one of the pickup trucks that they look for. Same type, same type of model there, same year structure as well. But yeah, that was very well done by United 24. Just to kind of give you a quick glimpse of what it's like for some of these residents that are still living inside of these brutal zones that are really, really close to the front, and obviously under threat of, kind of Russian occupation, depending on how, again, like I said, the next several days, weeks, and months actually go. But let's see if we can dive into some updates here regarding the fuel crisis and the struggles of some of the Russians, because boy, oh boy, has it been beautiful to see this. Again, after seeing the struggles that the Russians are responsible for, and the way that, the Ukrainian people have been so resilient, they're still sticking it out in these territories, in these places, to then go on and see these fucking prissy, pompous pricks over there in fucking Russia, whether they're in Crimea or Russia itself, talk about how bad things have become and how, upset they are that they're sitting in line for fucking 2 hours for gas. Well, they can stick their gas so far up their ass, right, and their little fucking temper tantrums that they're throwing here. And I'm going to watch these until I'm blue in the face, because boy, it's chef's fucking kiss. Oh boy, now you're starting to feel just a little bit, just a fucking fraction of what you guys have been perpetrating onto another country, of what you guys are responsible for starting. Right? Not like you guys didn't have ample opportunity to put down the fucking weapons and get out of Ukraine. You know what I mean? I think that's been offered quite a few times at this point, but I just wanted to go through here. This is Jay in Kiev, and I think he's got a couple of these posted, and then we got a couple updates coming from Dennis talking about the 40 trucks a day go kaboom on the Russian logistics collapse, basically the ongoing threat posed by the Ukrainians on the, kind of on the land bridge there, and then we got the professor just talking about anything else that the Ukrainians hit. So we're going to dive into that right after this. Let's go on to see what the and Jay in Kiev, like I said, Jay in Kiev posted this. He says, with the social fabric tearing on every front, Russians continue their collective descent into madness while queuing for petrol. Never with a thought of merely remedying the situation by removing their army from Ukraine, they sacrificed their economy, society, and eventually country to maintain the war. And like I said, this is right in line with, the line of cars we've seen trying to exit Crimea. I think the last report we saw was somewhere around 3,000, a little more than 3,000 vehicles. And I'm sure that's only going to expand. Like I said, the time is running out. That window is rapidly closing for people that are kind of on the fence. Should I stay or should I go now? They kind of that answer will be answered for them if they wait too long, pretty much, you know what I mean? Because they're going to be no ways for them to leave. So a lot of people taking that opportunity to get the fuck out of harm's way. And then a lot of people throughout Russia now crying their eyes out because they're waiting in line for petrol for 2 hours. And this lady's one of them. So let's see if we can dive into a little bit of this. And this is kind of, a consistent through line seen all over Russian social media of people all over, not just occupied Crimea, not just the Donbass and Luhansk and Donetsk and Luhansk, but also inside of Russia itself in a lot of different territories, almost a majority of the territories, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see here what this lady's so pissed off about. You can already see she says, "I am so upset. Fuck, you have no fucking idea." Let's see what she's pissed off about. Сука, блядь! No, like, I really, fuck. I just cannot take it anymore. Fuck. I waited at the gas station for 2 fucking hours for Ivan. Ivan no show up. Fuck, 2 hours I show. Please. I want to eat. Fuck. She wants to fuck? She wants to fuck, eat, and needs a bathroom. Well, Jesus, that sounds like a you problem, lady. What's that got to do with the fucking Russian government? What's that have to do with Ukraine if you just want to fuck, eat, and use the bathroom? Who's stopping you from doing that? And again, I don't know if that's a problem with the translation or if she just, you know, kind of misrepresented her words on that one, but that's what it says. I want to fuck, eat, and I need the bathroom. You had to post that on social media? I don't know. Seems strange. Jesus, what a whiny little brat. Сука, блядь!
А двигался через просто потому, что машины уезжали. На заправке есть бензин, но они закрыты, блядь. Когда их хуйня все прекратится? А бензин мне был доехать до дома, нахуй. А в топике я не голая.
What? To finish that video off with "I'm not naked, I'm in a crop top" is fucking wild. They are losing the plot over there. They are losing their shit. And I don't know. I'm not sure which, region this came from. I'm not sure if that's Crimea. I'm not sure if that is, Rostov-on-Don. I'm not sure if that's anywhere inside of Russia. But again, it seems to be a widespread issue that, it doesn't take long. You can pull up ample videos on social media detailing pretty much the exact same thing. We played a lady the other day that I thought was either very brave or very stupid for putting her video up on social media, showing the amount of lines. I think she was in and around the Moscow area, which kind of made it even dumber. Like, they're a lot closer to the Kremlin than people down in Crimea, or again, some of the videos that are from thousands of kilometers away. Here's another one. Jane Kiev posted, no longer measured in cars, but kilometers. Russian fuel lines are becoming central to life. It says all society is breaking down in Russia's godforsaken hellscape of Chita. 5,000 kilometers from Ukraine offered no protection from Kiev's wrath. Right? We showed you this. I can't even show you this on the... It's literally so far away, I can't even show you on the deep state map. You know what I mean? That's as far out as I can go. If I wanted to show you on a map, I'd have to go to Google Earth to show you. That literally should give you an idea how far away Chita is. And again, they're feeling the effects. They're feeling the effects of the Ukrainian drone strikes and obviously the recent Russian fuel shortages here. As you can see, I mean, look at the line of trucks. Look at the line of cars there. Let's see. I'll play this real quick. I'll let it play in the background. I'll make it big on the screen, and we can just go over how long these lines are.
Здравствуйте, здравствуйте.
I mean, that's nuts.
Счастливых вам голодных игр. И пусть удачи.
I don't know if that's copyright music. I don't want to take the shot that I get a fucking cease and desist letter from the Kremlin. But look at the lines here, as you guys can see on your screen. I mean, this is no joke. This is not a small issue, a small problem that we're facing. And this is 5,000. I can't stress it enough. All right, let's go to anybody that wasn't here the other show. You'll now get the opportunity to see here. And yes, anybody that was here, I apologize for doing this again to you. But again, I have to drill home how far away this is. I have to impress upon people how far away this is. So let me go Chita. Nope, that's not it. I don't want to go to Chattanooga. I want to go to Chita. Chita, Russia. Here we go. So let me throw this on the screen. It's going to take us in. We'll go into Chita. Here we go. Yep, zoom in. There's Chita. You're like, oh yeah, that's not bad. It seems like a normal, way out of the way is Russian. Okay, let's scroll out just a little bit. Let's scroll out just a little bit. We're going to show you where we are. All right, there's Mongolia. So we're basically on the doorstep of Mongolia. Okay, and we got China over here. Here's China, Mongolia. And again, here's Chita. You can still see it there with the pin. Let's continue to go out. We'll continue to go out because somewhere way over the fuck over here is Ukraine. So here's Ukraine right here, and here's Chita over here. So Ukraine, Chita. And this is where they're experiencing the fuel shortages, right? This is where they're having those long lines. So again, the fact that these people out here are experiencing the problems that Moscow, which is somewhere in this general vicinity up here, is responsible for is fucking wild. But not only the expanse of Russia in and of itself and how big Russia is in general, but the fact that these people are like I joked about the other show, like they probably don't even know the war started yet. That's how far away they are. Like the fucking telegram and the fax, whatever they use over there in that part of Russia, probably hasn't gotten to them yet. Like they're still thinking that we're at peacetime. Meanwhile, they're paying the price and they have no idea why. You know what I mean? So again, there's Cheetah, red little red little pin that you can see just up there, and then we'll go. Is Ukraine. It's crazy. I know. I'm sorry, but it's wild when I show people that on the map at how far away it is and wild like that they're feeling the effects now. But all right, let's see what else there was posted. Because there was this is the last remaining air defenses near the Kerch Bridge are reaching the end of their lifespan. Something is coming soon. And that's what people are suspecting. And I believe this is a video from, the 26th. So just a couple days ago of the air defenses in and around the Kerch Bridge, which we've long suspected is going to be become a target for the Ukrainians. Again, the more and more they start targeting, different military targets inside of Crimea, the more that they're starting to focus on the bridges up in the north of Crimea. I mean, it's only logical to suspect that the bridge itself, the Kerch Bridge itself, is going to be a target, in sometime in the near future, especially where it seems to be that they're softening up the defense in and around that bridge with their recent strike. So there was that as well. Let me see. There was a couple other posts I wanted to see. Making fun of Lukashenko. Putin still has Lukashenko trapped in Valdai. After being summoned Friday morning, Lukashenko has been commonly involved in what's that say? Pleasant closed-door negotiations with Putin for days. What do you guys think they're talking about? Wrong answers only. So again, I don't think Putin's very happy that wasn't it Lukashenko that said the other day that they wouldn't get involved, or the Ukrainians wouldn't have to fear that the Belarusians get involved. But this is Jane Keefe. It says in Russia's Ukrtsk. So here's another one of those videos that we've been showing here. This is Ukrtsk. Where some have been waiting for days in line for gasoline. Residents say they feel abandoned as no one will help us. So again, let me play this in the background, and then I'll go to the map and I'll show you where Kursk is, so we can show you there just where they're being affected. And we'll show this this little Russian beauty, what she's got to say.
Иркутск, нам никто не поможет.
Nobody will help us. No one will hear our cries for help, our pleas. I just got it muted so I can talk over it. Because we are shouting on social network, asking for help from people who simply are not here. Regarding this whole situation. Why do they all talk like robots? Regarding this whole situation, the petrol situation is getting worse and worse every day. So that's Irkutsk. So let's see here. Probably going to spell that wrong to begin with, right? Definitely. Irkutsk. Oh, I got it right. God damn it. Look at me go. Look at me go. So we'll show this on the. So that's not very far away either. That's not very far away from Cheetah. You know what I mean? So here we are. Here's the Irkutsk. So there's Mongolia. It's even closer to Mongolia than fucking Cheetah was. Here's Cheetah that we were just looking at. Here's Irkutsk. So again, here's to the two regions that we were just talking about as far as feeling the impacts, feeling the effects of the Russian fuel shortages. And, that princess from Irkutsk was detailing that nobody in that region is there to even yell at, right? So they're yelling into the void, basically, for people to help them in their situation. Meanwhile, Moscow is like, I don't know, a 19-day travel away, basically. You know what I'm saying? Fucking unreal how far it is. But let's see if there's anything else being reported here by Jay in Kyiv. Amid last night's missile attack on the people of Kyiv, Russian incompetence and corruption continued to save lives as some downed missiles as faulty warheads, leaving wreckage unexploded. A warhead gathered this morning, likely failing to detonate after a Russian stole the thing that makes it detonate. So again, shooting up blanks. Because they are having people in their own military steal, again, possibly the capabilities needed to actually make the thing explode. But I think there was a couple more. Yeah, there was this one as well. It says deep depression continues to take hold among the previously hopeful throngs of Russian would-be fuel purchasers as waits of days and living in cars still brings no petrol. A Russian woman complains that she's been in line for 1.5 days. Sorry, it's not even on the screen, but 1.5 days. Dude, 1.5 days. A Russian woman complains that she's been in line for 1.5 days with still no hope of petrol. What? Holy shit. Let's see what she's got to say here. What region is she in, I wonder?
Всем доброе утро. 1,5 суток я уже стою на Роснефти.
который находится у нас на Огдане. Вчера я так и не доехала до заправки, потому что вот буквально перед поворотом на нас остановилась очередь. И мы просто уже не поехали домой, потому что тут уже дело принципа. На горячем баке сутки постоять уже решили ночевать.
We had already decided to stay and spend the night. Spending the night at a fucking fuel, like a petrol line, is nuts.
И оставаться, чтобы сегодня утром хотя бы
To be at least the first to fill up this morning.
И очередь даже
And the
не
queue isn't even
убавляется,
going
просто
down.
там, мне кажется, прибавляется еще больше.
It's down there and it's getting even
Всем
bigger.
доброе утро.
Jesus Christ. So we got people in Russia. And again, I don't know, what region she's in specifically, but probably more closely to Chita and Irkutsk, I'm assuming. But, I don't know. But obviously detailing the struggles there by the Russians. Economic statistics become more misleading in wartime. Rebuilding a destroyed facility adds to GDP, but the waste brought in a strike is not subtracting from the country's wealth. This is the result of Ukrainian drone sanctions against the Russian oil and gas industry this morning in Slavyansk na Kubani in western Russia. Here's detailing another effective Ukrainian strike. Put that on real quick. Damn. Again, this says here it's in the Slavyansk na Kubani in western Russia. Bottom line is there, you got a big problem, bub. I think you got a problem there. I think you might want to get some, you might want to get them fires out first thing. That's going to be my guess. I know I'm no expert in this field, but, I'd say them fires probably going to be a big problem to your oil production facility. And then what was this one? Oh, is this detailing where it was? Yeah, here we go. So this is just kind of detailing on the map where that is. You can see here just on the other side of the Kerch Bridge down there near Crimea. So again, the Ukrainians still effectively carrying out those economic sanctions themselves. Here's another video detailing some fuel lines here. This is despite the Kremlin's best efforts to drain Russia's regions of petrol to supply the capital. It's still not enough, with Moscow's fuel crisis continuing to worsen to the point that hundreds line up even at service stations that aren't even open in hopes of rumored fuel deliveries. So all these dumb bastards are literally lined up at a fucking petrol station that isn't even open. Hold on. Let me make this a little bigger on your screen. We'll see what these Russian morons are doing. People, just so you know, Moscow, Prospect Mira. They are queuing from right here at the Lukoil. Petrol station on their way over here. It's not even fucking open, man. The fuck you want me to do? You guys line up for a day and a half for no fuel, no petrol. It's not even open, you dumb fucks. Сук, блядь.
All
this, these are all people for the petrol station. What is wrong with you? Well, I'm assuming they're out of gas, you fucking idiot. What do you mean? What do you mean, what is wrong with you? I'm gonna assume they need gas. I don't know. Just why else would anybody be queuing up at a fucking petrol station for a day and a half? I'm assuming they need that fuel. People, who are you rushing to? And it's still closed. Again, they're all queuing up at a fucking place that's closed. Is there a way for us to tell? I wish I was like, who's that? Shit, what do they call those guys now? I can't even think of what they call them. Who are like the geolocator guys, right? Where you could like see a building and they know exactly where on the planet it is. Like there's that one famous guy who's like really unbelievable at it. I can't think of his name at this point in time, but is anybody else in the chat like really good at it? Can pinpoint from that like pretty specific, like pretty oddly designed building, which should be, if anybody's up on their architecture, you should be able to tell me where that is. But, it'd be cool if we could pinpoint exactly where that petrol station is and who's feeling the effects. But it is so widespread, it's probably going to be difficult to do so. Let's see what else there was. This is bringing out the gangs in Russia now, as you can tell. They definitely would be quick to jump on the old black market fuel game, I assure you. But this says, as expected, Russia's spiraling fuel crisis is bringing the criminal underworld out into the open, gathering gasoline by any means as the liquid gold lays unattended in millions of cars nationwide. So basically going out there, siphoning it out of cars or doing whatever they need to do to accrue this, and then they're probably going to resell it at like an exorbitant amount, like to people that are very, very desperate and will pay whatever to make sure that they can get to work, from work, whatever it may be at that point in time. But here's another video posted by Jay and Keeve detailing that. I don't know if it's translated. Yeah, it is. While diesel is still available, we take it, we buy it. Everything is fine.
Все нормально. Мотаем, крутим, вертим. Все. Быстренько. Брейк, чик. И все, вперед. Ай-яй-яй. Все есть. Что за кипиш, я не знаю.
Looks like a fucking target to me. I don't know if I'd want to be driving around at this point in time with just an entire vehicle full of fuel. I don't know. I think you could pay somebody else to do that at this point. I think, yeah, I'll pass on that one. But let's see. I think that was it by Jay and Kiev. That takes us to Dennis. Let's look at Dennis Davidov's update that he has. I think this was put out about 21 hours ago. It says update from Ukraine: 40 trucks a day go kaboom. So I think we're learning more and more about the efficacy again of the Ukrainian drone and missile strikes on the land bridge, and how many trucks are being affected by this and how much resupply is being affected by this. He also talks about the collapse of the Russian logistics as it pertains to Crimea as well. So I just want to get into a little bit of this, and then we'll end on the professor's updates because he's got one here, I think, talking about some more refineries that were struck. So I just want to see if we can jump into that one after as well. So hit that like button. I appreciate you guys for joining me, especially to the end of the show. Like I said, we try to split it up. Usually the first half or first portion of the show is definitely going to be towards domestic policy and things happening inside of our own country here. And then we typically, at the end of the show or the second half of the show, go into obviously the updates here from the front line in Ukraine, any of these strikes, any news that we need to get into as it pertains to that. And then obviously, when it comes around the the actions of Israel inside of the West Bank, obviously Lebanon, and just kind of the general genocidal rhetoric coming from their leadership anyway. So typically that's what we do at the end of the show. So I really do appreciate people that stick around to the end. So let's see if we can get into a quick update here from Dennis Davidov about how effective the Ukrainians have been and continue to be at hitting the resupply vehicle. So a couple minutes of this, and like I said, we'll jump into the professor's video.
Hello, my friends. This is the situation with the Russian supplies on occupied
That's not
territory. A main road R280 that goes from.
I don't think that resupply is getting to the front, guys. I'm just going to say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say whatever was being carried by those two trucks is not going to make it to the front.
Rostov-on-Don to Crimea itself. This image was taken by Ukrainian surveillance drone not that far away from Mariupol. And you know what? Ukraine intensifies those strikes. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's not Mariupol, it's Melitopol, but the road is basically the same. This road is the critical one for the Russian supplies, but it is not safe. Not safe.
And again, we've talked about the risk that the Russians were taking or are taking by traveling this route recently. And then also, I'll get out of the way here and I could probably more properly explain it. But if you look down more south of where I was, the fact that Kerch Bridge get taken out, just the distance that the Russians will have to go, and then it forces them to get on that highway anyway to a portion where the bridges are being attacked. So again, Russians rapidly running out of options to use as far as resupply for this area. And like I said, Dennis will go on to describe, and I think he gives us a few statistics about how many trucks they've taken out as well.
All. Clement Mollin, who is a French analyst, looked through all of the videos presented in internet he was capable to find, and he says that totally since early May, nearly 800 trucks and vehicles have been hit with a range of more than 20 kilometers away from the front
from what
lines.
I gather, that's just from what this journalist here, and I don't recall. You probably have to go back a couple seconds for him to bring up the Clement Mollin. Not sure what that says, obviously, because it's in French, and I have to brush up on my French. But he says that he went through all of the footage here that he could go through that was compiled on the internet. Since early May, he says nearly 800 trucks and vehicles have been hit, more than 20 kilometers from the front line, which gives 15 trucks a day as an average. Remember that you don't need to hit all the trucks to stop the traffic. Russian countermeasures are too few and inefficient to change anything. We've seen numerous mobile fires teams hit or fleeing, with too few examples of successful downing from the ground. Drone interceptor teams are too few and concentrated on the roads, while radars and EW continue to be relentlessly hit. So 800 based upon what this kid has seen. So that doesn't mean that's all of them. That's just basically what he was able or to go through or able to confirm as far as the footage that he's seen, right? And again, we've seen with the cameras on of these drones and drones watching drones and drones watching drones watching drones, that all of this stuff is now videotaped. It can be confirmed. They got pretty clear footage that we're now getting from some of the updated equipment, updated cameras on some of these drones here. So again, whether or not he was able to see all of them is probably, not something that was possible. So, but from what he saw, 800 trucks and vehicles. I would assume even a lot more that have been hit, and that gives, like he said, a 15 truck a day average. And you can just add up the amount of money that is costing the Russians when you talk about an entire truckload of fuel, or entire truckload of ammunition, or entire truckload of guns, or whatever it may be that they're trying to get, or food, or whatever it may be to the front. You add that up, and you're talking about 15 to 20 trucks a day. That's a fucking huge amount of resources being wasted, not making it to the front. So let's see what else you got here.
Vehicles have been hit with a range of more than 20 kilometers away from the front lines. So for the last 2 months, it's 15 trucks per day, but recently Ukraine expedited or upscaled the strikes on Russian logistics, making this week the deadliest one for the Russian supply. So 40 trucks destroyed per day this week, which is
Jesus Christ. So obviously you can see here the concerted effort to increase the drone activity by the Ukrainians. So going from 15 to say 20 trucks a day to more recently, now we're seeing about 40 trucks per day. And it says here this week, basically that's what the Ukrainians have averaged. Yesterday it was 47, today 56, which shows the results of strikes during the last few weeks on average have hit nearly 40 trucks destroyed per day. And again, talk about, and just think in your mind what an entire truck, the amount of fuel that an entire truck could carry. What's that worth right now? Times that by 40, or times that, the ammunition or the weaponry or the food that they were trying to carry. Times that by 40 trucks per day. And how long they've been trying to do this, and how long they've been at this. And you can see how much that it's costing the Russians, and how it's definitely not sustainable for them to continue at this rate.
Way more than usual. And the last week I heard the rhetorics from the Russian channels that they have the improvement in the situation. They put some of the protection for their trucks, like for example, extra military units with AA cannons, basically trucks with anti-drone automatic machinery guns, but it is not done everywhere. It doesn't guarantee.
I mean, this is off topic, if you'll allow me, but he just reminded me in my head there. Have you guys seen the South Korean guns that they're trying to utilize now to shoot down drone swarms? Let me see if I can go back. I think I watched it this morning real quick. So I go back to my history. I mean, these things are wild. It's basically just like Gatling gun artillery at this point, and they've just lined up enough of these Gatling gun artillery guns. I don't know what the fuck they call them at this point, but they just line up enough of them where it basically just throws up a big enough wall of lead where hopefully that drone swarm wouldn't be able to make it in. Let me see here if I can pull this back up. I think it was I think I watched it this morning, if I'm not mistaken. Give me a second. South Korea. I know it was South Korea. Oh, here it is right here. Here it is right here. Check this out. Look at these things. It says footage shows 8 Vulcan guns shooting barrage fire to counter a throng of infiltrating drones. Right? So look at these goddamn things. I don't know what those. I'm assuming those are radar arrays, the radar dishes somehow. And again, I'm talking out of my ass as far as I could tell, but that's what it seems like to me. But these things are basically just like artillery cannons that are just fucking Maxim guns at the same time. You know what I mean? And they just line about 10 or 15 of these things up in a row, and they just shoot down. Again, we've seen the drone swarms like what is it like in some of the Chinese displays that they've had where they go up and they put up tens of thousands of drones and they form into different shapes. And obviously you could see how that would be a problem if they, every one of those drones had a gun attached to it or a bomb attached to it or something like that. Well, apparently the South Koreans have now come up with this this little tactic here. So check it's wild. It really is. Check it out. There's the drone swarm. Look at these guns. And again, you can see there the tracers, and I'm not sure like how often those tracers are spaced out, but there's a lot of bullets in between each one of those tracers that you can't see. And again, it just puts up a wall of lead big enough to hopefully take down a substantial portion of whatever drone swarm is coming at you. I know we haven't seen really the swarms, so to speak, in the Ukrainian fight against Russia, but it's only a matter of time before you could be assured that we're going to start seeing some of the accrued tactics tactics of combined offensives with, multiple drones, let's just say. I know we can, kind of see how we're heading in that direction right now, but, we haven't seen anything like this. I know the U.S. pilot was talking about the Iranian drone swarm that was kind of acting like a jellyfish, right? And a lot of people are kind of suspecting or, talking about how it could be something like this. But yeah, they've at least, the South Koreans are at least trying to come up with their own tactics, and it's basically just a bunch of fucking Maxim machine guns, basically made as cannons, as artillery pieces. And if you put enough of them in a row, and you put up enough lead, you put up a big enough wall of lead, then hopefully you'll be able to take down a substantial portion of that drone swarm. But I was like, wow, that's crazy. Look at that. Golden bullets. Look at that shit. Within 60 seconds, dozens of drones are shot out of the sky, leaving only 6 in flight. The remaining 6 were then destroyed at close range with 1 portable laser and 5 shotguns. So this comes as South Korean Defense Minister announced plans to train all troops as drone operators, which again is pretty smart. You would think most militaries would probably try to, incorporate more drone activity, more drone operators, more drone defense, more drone awareness into their military tactics, into their training and stuff like that. Considering the obvious direction we've seen warfare to go into in the last 5 years or more. But all right, let's see if we can end on this one, because there was a couple minutes here from the professor in some of the more recent strikes by Ukraine. Again, apparently by his title here, 2 more refineries being struck. So I just want to see if there's anything that we missed as far as the reporting is concerned, and then we'll get you guys out. It says Ukraine is hitting Russia faster than Putin can fix it. Right. So again, how we talk about how this is not sustainable, whether it's the situation down in Crimea, or again, just the general fuel and oil crisis in and around Russia, the threat to their economy, the fact that they're now having to import a lot of these things that they were once known to have a substantial portion of, substantial stockpile of. Now it's not, now it's they're in a more difficult situation, let's just say. But yeah, here's the professor just giving us a couple updates on what's been taking place, I think, over the last 24, 48 hours or so.
It's Sunday, June 28th, 2026. Ukraine just keeps hitting Russia in very calculated ways where it hurts. What they hit yesterday, part of the ballistic missile assembly structure, the factory that it creates the components. Today, hitting 2 more refineries. It's just one thing after another, and it's all calculated. I'm not going to go so far as to say it's all going to according to plan, because you wouldn't have planned for this to be this late in the game, but everything they're doing is measured and calculated. So overnight strikes, let's look at this. 370 drones and missiles. There were UAVs, jet-powered UAVs, and even cruise missile movement yesterday. 370. It's more than double what the Russians were doing to Ukraine last night. Ukrainian defenders.
That's something that he's consistently pointed out here, and a lot of people have pointed out, like, it's pretty regular now that the Ukrainians are able to put up more drones and missiles that the Russians are able to put up against them in defense of or in their offensive strikes. They typically like to, kind of wait and compile whatever missiles they're able to construct there. And then they kind of lob this, these big attacks to try to get the most headlines, to try to get the most bang for their buck. Meanwhile, the Ukrainians are consistently, night after night, able to put up more drones and missiles than the Russians are. And we've seen that kind of increase in recent days. As this says here by the Ukrainian Defense of Ukraine, says Ukrainian defenders mark Constitution Day. Happy Constitution Day, by the way. Overnight long-range sanctions reached 2 Russian oil refineries, Slavyansk and Krasnodar, which is 300 kilometers out, one in Yaroslavl, which is 700 kilometers from our border. Every strike weakens Russia's war machine and brings peace closer.
Constitution Day, that's today. So happy Constitution Day to those of you in Ukraine. Long-range sanctions reached 2 Russian oil refineries, one in Krasnodar, that's going southeast of Ukraine, going below, and then one going northeast, and that one's in Yaroslavl, 700 kilometers from the border. Okay, so here's some video of it. That's not nothing. That's not a storm cloud. It looks like something out of Hollywood movie, like trying to
Look at
show
that
how
shit.
bad the whatever is that's coming to get you. I mean, it's bad. Like,
I mean, that seems to be a pretty consistent theme with people that have seen, video or footage of some of these recent Ukrainian strikes, whether they be in St. Pete, Moscow, wherever they may be. Seems like, a lot of them are so substantial and cause, such damage that it's like, it looks like a movie. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've heard that talked about on social media, especially with the, Russian missile that hit the oil storage tank and blew its top off. Like, it looks like something that you would see in a movie. Or the skies above Moscow, after the Moscow oil refineries hit, looked like it was something from a movie. We've seen time and time again these huge, substantial fires at oil refineries or oil depots, which look like it was something from a movie. You know what I mean? So that's kind of been a pretty consistent theme here in these more recent, long range and medium range sanctions, they call them, that the Ukrainians have been placing upon the Russians.
okay, so Krasnodar is a big refinery. Yaroslavl, I think, is even bigger. Yaroslavl is like the 5th biggest in Russia, I think. This is more of Krasnodar. So yeah, I mean, it's unmistakable what's happening there. It's a pretty sizable hit. Let's look at the situation from Slavyansk on Kuban. The plumes of smoke can be seen 45 kilometers away from the impact site. Maybe larger than that. Those seem like some pretty big plumes.
Look at that shit. I mean, look what you're seeing on your screen there. So again, not minimal strikes, not small strikes by any stretch of the imagination, not something that the Kremlin or the Russian propaganda can sweep under the rug easily, which is why we've seen, consistently more clips coming from Vladimir Solyov and, his counterpart there coming from and showing them that they're like depressed and trying to keep people calm and saying, please don't go right into chaos and don't go right into panic type of thing. You've seen more and more of that consistently as these strikes become more apparent and harder for the Russians to cover up. I mean, there's no real way when the smoke plumes can be seen from fucking 50 kilometers away that you're going to get people to believe that it didn't happen, right?
On sentence, congratulations on Constitution Day, says Sergei Sternenko. So that's what this looks like. Fires continue to spread across Russia's Slavyansk Eco oil refinery in Krasnodar Krai after Ukraine's overnight strikes, with full-blown crisis already engulfing the nation, says Jay in Kyiv. This probably isn't going to make...
this up too. Let me throw this on your screen because the fucking nerve that people have to write stories like this. This is by The Guardian. Not sure if you guys saw this one, but, we're already starting to see things like this, just when, the Ukrainians and just when Zelensky and Kyiv are taking the fight to Moscow, taking the fight to Putin himself. Basically, you're now going to start to see shit like this. And it didn't take fucking very long, did it? Where morale bombing Moscow is not justified here, written by The Guardian. It says, Professor Christian Enemark reacts to Ukraine's largest drone raid on Russia, calling on it to respect the innocence of all civilians, which is fucking rich. Absolutely fucking rich considering what we've seen perpetrated by the Russians in this war, right? The amount of times that the Ukrainians have given the Russians ample opportunity to drop their fucking weapons and get the fuck out of Ukraine, right? Stop this war. Don't invade us in the first place. Come to the negotiating table, whatever it may be. Definitely don't hit our civilian infrastructure, which continues to be hit on a nightly goddamn basis, purposely targeted by the Russians, all throughout this war. Now they're going to start seeing, you're going to start seeing, and we're going to start seeing more and more pieces be written like this, right when it's starting to be taken to the other side, right? And again, we've seen time and time again the Ukrainian military act with humanity, right? With restraint, basically. Utilizing and only targeting justifiable military targets, and have some other things been hit? Absolutely. You can't rule out in today's day and age the option or the possibility that it was because of communications jamming or drone jamming or spoofing, right? So you can't consistently say, or you can't confirm basically that the targets that were hit, the civilian targets that were hit, were basically targeted on purpose, right? So, but basically, if you look at the overarching fucking spread of things and targets that Ukraine has hit, they have time and time again stayed away from civilian populations, civilian infrastructure, and time again going on to hit oil infrastructure, oil refineries, military sites, oil, airfields, shit like that. Time and time again, justifiable military bases and shit like that. So for these things to now be, to start getting written right now is just, it's crazy. But, you can see it coming, and it's exactly what happens every time. It goes on to say that the Russian civilians are not morally liable to attack. Unlike enemy combatants, civilians lack the capacity to injure or kill, so they present no military threat to be violently neutralized. This is a distinction that must be recognized by both sides in the Russia-Ukraine war. Although Russia was wrong to invade its neighbor in February 22, Ukraine still has a responsibility to avoid the deliberate harming of innocents when violently defending itself. Again, they have a little blame. You know, it was wrong of Russia to invade, or is this the exact reason why Ukraine has been forced into this position and has to undertake the actions that it's now undertaking, while at every opportunity, at every turn, trying to mitigate the damages seen by those strikes, right? To make sure that they are not just solely targeting civilian infrastructure like it seems the Russians are. So again, I saw this and I found this to be, just fucking spit worthy. Basically, throw a little spitball on that one. Because you get no empathy, sympathy, compassion from me, from the fucking country that perpetrated this war, that consistently wants to see this war progress and continue, because I haven't seen them rise up against the government. I haven't seen them rise up against the Kremlin in a strong enough way that would represent some sort of consistent pressure to make Vladimir Putin come to the negotiating table, or at least stop the bombing of civilian infrastructure at the very fucking least, right? And you can go on and talk about the recent bombings of the Pechersk Lavra in Kyiv as well, and how fucking, their fake Christianity reigns and shit. And, just after, what was it? Andrew Tate and Candace Owens and all them are in St. Petersburg. But yeah, this is basically just the excusing of, what the Russians have done this entire time, and basically saying, we're going to hold Ukraine to a much higher standard than we're holding to the Russians. It says the main target of Ukraine's largest drone attack was Moscow, was apparently an oil refinery on the city's edge. Apparently, of course it was. How is it not clear to see that that's what the fucking target was, right? However, it also caused some civilian injuries and damage to private property. It is possible that this other damage was entirely unintended, but it is reasonable to suspect otherwise when the Ukrainian president speaks of bringing the war closer to ordinary Russians. Well, I don't get what that means, because closer, when Volodymyr Zelensky says he's going to bring it closer to ordinary Russians, why doesn't that just mean he's going to continue hitting like the Moscow oil refinery, which again is a lot fucking closer to everyday Russians, a lot closer to the seat of power and the government control over the entire country of Russia, right? Doesn't necessarily mean, and he didn't say he was going to start hitting civilian infrastructure, but for them to not recognize the ability for Russians to, again, spoof or jam drones to send them off course so that they hit unintended targets is crazy in all this, right? The desired effect, like I read, it's just a bunch of bullshit. I don't have to go on and read this, but it definitely pissed me off when I saw that we're already starting to see this kind of Russia apologia, and oh my God, we can't do this to Moscow. I know they do this nightly to Kyiv, but not Moscow. Like, shut up, sit on it and fucking rotate. Sick of it. No empathy, compassion for me. Let's go. You started it. You want to continue it. We're going to fucking play ball accordingly. Okay. Sorry, not fucking sorry. That's the way you want to win a war. You got to fucking win the war. But all right, let's see if we can finish this out. Oh, sorry. It'd be greatest if I put the original video that I was watching back on the screen. Here we go.
In fact, that'll be my next video, showing you exactly what's going on with that. NASA affirms thermal anomalies at the Sloviansk on Kuban oil refinery in Krasnodar Krai. Firms isn't perfect, but this indicates the massive fires among the fuel storage tanks. That seems like it's a lot. So, okay. Just a little bit more video from somebody driving in a vehicle, and that'll, yeah. Okay, so let's look at the other one, Yaroslavl. And I won't spend as much time belaboring this one. You get the idea here. Second refinery in Russia was struck last night from Yaroslavl refinery. You can see smoke rising. NASA firms confirmed the heat signature inside the oil refinery. So you're seeing that here on the map. And then just some context about Yaroslavl. If the names sound familiar, that's because they're often hit multiple times. One hit doesn't take out everything. So they keep hitting it until they put it out of business. Slavnet Yanos refinery in Yaroslavl, one of Russia's largest oil refineries with annual processing capacity of 15 million tons and a distance of 700 kilometers from Ukraine. It's approximately the fifth largest in the country in terms of processing capacity. And so it'll continue to get hit in the oil refinery bingo game. Also, recently, this was yesterday, a Ukrainian drone struck a fuel and lubricants warehouse in Belgorod Oblast. This was after I did the morning video, so that's why I'm showing you it now. The Ukrainian drones attacked a former fuel depot, and this was in Simferopol, Crimea. Locals reported a visible glow and smoke rising from the site. So this looks like it's probably not going to work much anymore. Okay, let's talk about Russian strikes quickly. About half of Ukraine's under aerial threat last night. I saw this posted, and then when we saw what was actually attacked with, it was only 150 Russian drones and missiles. But the missiles,
well, again, like we talked about, Ukraine able to put up more than double what the Russians were able to put up in their nightly attack against Ukraine. Not to say that they didn't have an effect or cause any damage, but again, it does show the kind of the switch or the flip and who kind of has the upper hand in the equipment game, at least as far as we're talking about drone capabilities. It seems like increasingly the stockpile and the kind of the numbers of drones that the Ukrainians have at their disposal is consistently outnumbering what the Russians are at least able to put up on a nightly basis here. And this is just talking about how many of the Russian drones and shit were shot down. It says that 1 out of 2 3M-22 Zircon P-800 Onyx crew missiles were shot down. 6 out of 6 Iskanders MS-400 ballistic missiles were shot down. 125 out of 142 Shahed and other drone types missile hits, and 14 attack drones were recorded at 11 locations, and the debris of downed drones fell at 13 locations. So again, not so that we're just detailing this as a one-sided fight, and then we'll finish you off here and get you out of here, just detailing some of the Russian losses over the last 24 hours. So we have now hit the 1,400,000 mark. Now 1,400,970 personnel that have been eliminated from the battlefield, either dead or severely wounded, which is chalking up another 1,250. And again, a 24-hour time frame, 24-hour period there on the side of the Russians. So another 3 tanks were taken out, another 9 armored fighting vehicles were taken out, another 63 artillery systems, which is just, again, mind-blowing, depending on what type of artillery systems they were. You just continue to add this up, with its numerical value, with its, its dollar amount and how much damage it's causing. It's astronomical. It really is, well beyond just the personnel that have been eliminated, right? The sheer equipment that is being destructed here. So MLRSs are not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. Another 2 of those were taken out. Another 7 air defense systems. And again, depending on what type or variation they are, very, very expensive. Another almost 2,000 UAVs or Russian drones that were taken out. So that's been pretty consistent as the uptick in drones has been seen there. Unmanned ground vehicles, another 14 were taken out. Another 500 vehicles and fuel tanks, again showing the the continued strikes down there and the ability to go down there and get the Russian fuel supply trucks down in the Crimea area as well. And then another 7 pieces of special equipment, which is pretty substantial. Usually you only see about 1 or a couple of those as well. So just to kind of detail you the tough stretch that the Russians have been facing recently, and the milestones that they continue to hit. Not good milestones. I don't think anybody is really clapping or cheering about hitting 1.4 million as far as Russian losses on the battlefield is concerned, but that's what they're hit. That's the numbers that we're looking at. And again, the final tally as far as the dollar amount and dollar figure for equipment lost, when all comes said to when all is said and done, is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing right now, it really is. But when this is all said and done, when people finally add up and put a figure on what it cost the Russian people and the Russian government, it's going to be fucking astronomical. It really is. So, all right, we're going to get into that's it for today. But next show, we're going to get into a little bit more about what's taking place in and around Konstantinivka. I'd like to see from now until the next Tuesday show that we have, what kind of happens if the Ukrainians make any announcements as far as kind of like strategic withdrawals and kind of fighting retreats, as it were, or if the Russians try to claim again that they've taken over the entirety of it. Last show, we talked about the discrepancy between the Syriac map and the Deep State map. The Deep State map showing that the Russians hadn't even taken over some of the previous establishments even before Konstantinivka, and the Syriac map showing that it had not only taken over those settlements, but also the entirety of Konstantinivka plus some And again, there's some Russian propagandists on Twitter trying to draw up their own maps, trying to give the Russians a little bit more credit, a lot more credit in some circumstances than they're deserving of. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what's going to be reported from now until then. Thank you guys, as always, for sticking with me to the end of the show. It means a lot, not only for the algorithm, but to me, that you guys are passionate about and very willing to hear out and stick with the community throughout the entire show. Really means a lot. Like I said, there's no ads to bother you guys. There's no interruptions throughout the show. We don't charge you guys for anything. We're not selling you a bunch of bullshit and green juice and a way to find out about your family ancestry and some mattress that was sent to me last night, but I'm going to tell you changed my back forever. None of that bullshit. So again, it's only with your help, your generosity, and your contributions to the show that we're able to keep this thing running. Again, throughout the Venmo, the YouTube memberships, the super chat here, you guys can donate stickers, donate memberships, all of those great things. Or if you go over to patreon.com/Boston Brian and become one of the main features of the backbone of this community, the people over there on the YouTube memberships just underneath me, and obviously there at the Patreon. Really, really awesome to see you guys supporting this show. To see that Patreon continue to grow is really rewarding as well. So please think about helping and supporting independent creators like myself, where again we have no outside resources or financial backers making this thing go. It's all because of you guys. Every single bit of this is supported by you guys, with you guys. And again, if you could go and grab some fantastic merch like Stop Pretending Your Racism is Patriotism, you can get this shirt and many others just like it, hats, stickers, mugs at bostonbrian.com. And again, there's a link there you can click. It says Blunt Politics Merch Shop. Click on that and it takes you right to our fantastic merch. Very much appreciated for you guys that have been very supportive throughout that as well. And then obviously don't forget the Help 99, please. Let's finish this out. I know we've hit a little bit of a stall moment. We've hit a little bit of a brick wall, but again, that's only to be expected. We're a small community. We can only do so much. So again, please, if you could share this out, if you could let other people know outside of the community that we're very, very close with a very, very important campaign that we have going here for a really, really good cause. Have them go over to Help 99, type in Boston Brian, Summer of Drones. Either one of those should take you right to this campaign. You can, again, if you donate enough, you can get one of these fantastic patches. And again, either a $1, a $5, a $10, anything like that goes to help get us towards our goal. Right now, we're at $16,159, which is just over $18,000 raised in less than 3 weeks. So again, I can only get on my knees and pray so many times, but please, if you could help us get to that point, if you could help us get to the finish line with that, or again, if you could just share it out and help us find a community that will be able to, or help us find some whales out there that have deep enough pockets where we could maybe eat out a big chunk of this goal that we still have left. That would be fantastic. So all of the information is here. If you're curious where it goes, what the need for the vehicle is, what specific battalion it's going to, all of that information is on this Help 99 website. The goal, who gets the aid. You can find you can join the wall of people that have donated. So thank you, Gregory. Thank you to Steve. Thank you to Jeff. Thank you to Magda. Thank you to Susie. Thank you to Margot, Kay, Anthony, Michael, Brenda, Kenneth, Robert, Jeremy, Kimberly, Roxanne, Richard, Vassal, Elena, Gregory, Arthur, Thomas, Philippe, Colleen, MJ, Hugo, Damon, Suzanne, Rox, Alicia, Brian. Jesus Christ, I'm going to have to get another wind. Thank you to the anonymous one. Thank you to Tom and Victoria. Thank you to Nicole, Christina, Yakov a bunch of times. Thank you to Nance. Thank you to the Blunt Politics family, which I pull on behalf. Thank you to Berja. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to KO. Thank you to Yakov, like I said, a bunch of times. Thank you to Todd. Everybody that's been responsible for getting us to this point. Like I said, you can talk about and figure out how much you can donate to get different things. Again, people that have some deeper pockets than I could ever possibly hope to have. You can get some of your own text on the truck. There are different programs here where the more you donate, the more you get. And again, it even goes up to if you want to join this convoy, if you want to be there for the handing over. There's even, again, if you have that much, not expecting it whatsoever, but I'm just saying it's available just in case there's a whale out there, just in case there's anybody, a millionaire that happens to watch the Blunt Politics podcast out there. You have to take your shot. You got to shoot your shot while it's there, my guys. You got to shoot your shot. You can't win if you don't play. Can't win if you don't play. All right, but let's get into thanking some people today. Much appreciated. Like I said, it's an honor and a privilege to be a part of these things, to have a community that people see value in. To associate us with these campaigns is absolutely fantastic. And again, to reiterate, we see no financial revenue, nothing from this. This is totally 100% separate. And again, we are just we're just putting this on because it's a good cause. We're just doing this because we are very passionate, about supporting Ukraine, and because we've seen that not only our country but also many other countries throughout the world have not stepped up in the way that they should be stepping up. So again, very honored and privileged to be a part of this, and thank you for making that a possibility. So let's say if we get over here to the Venmo side of things, and we'll thank you fabulous motherfuckers for donating in, throwing in $1 or $2 to help keep this thing going. I really do appreciate every single one of you that does. So let's see here. Allison today, first on the list. Thank you, Allison M. Allison M sends in a little lobster with a nice little purple heart, and we appreciate you for doing so. So shout out to you in the chat there, Allison. Very much appreciate you and everything you do for for this channel. Thank you to Brian H. Sending a really random $12.70, which is extremely appreciated. I don't know if that has meaning and I'm missing it, but I really do appreciate that. It says, Slava Ukraine, birthday today, made it past the betting line. Let's go, brother. Happy birthday, Bry Guy. Let's fucking go. Going to collect from all those who had no confidence in my longevity. Bry, use this any way you want for you, for some of the Help 99 if possible. Well, thank you so much, dude. Happy birthday. Let's get some happy birthdays in the chat for Bry Guy. That's Brian H in the chat. If you're not hip to who we're talking about here, but thank you so much, Bry. Very much appreciated for that. And again, hope you have a great birthday. Thank you for sharing and spending some of the time here with us. Thank you, Yakov. Next on the list for the Ukraine trip, brother. Oh, much appreciated. And again, let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's not put not get ahead of the old skis here. All right, hold on. Who's yelling at me? Yeah. He's yelling at me. Yeah, my apologies. But yeah, thank you so much. I'm only kidding, Yakov. Very much appreciate that. And that will absolutely be helpful when, I'm not saying if, but I'm saying when we get that campaign completed. So much appreciated. Hope you're feeling better. Hope the back's better. Hope everything's better in that case. And we appreciate everything you do for this channel, Yakov. Thank you, Roger here. Thank you, Karen and Roger, I should say, to specify. Very much appreciated for the $2 you send over on Venmo today. Thank you for helping this show go. And then as we do over the last couple days, I want to say thank you to Jenny Faye and Corey for everything you do for this channel. Thank you so much for the $20 Venmo that you sent over. Thank you to Cedri as well, Cedri V. Very much appreciated for what you send in. Let's see here. There was next on the list was going to be Yakov again, MR, Suzanne, Nancy, Jeff, Donna, Roxanne, Victoria, Damon, Peter. All you guys really helping this show grow. Joe, much appreciated to Joe H. Thank you to Teague, Tom and Victoria again, Karen. You guys just, you impress me every single day with the support for this channel. Blows me away. And it really makes it easy to do this every single day. Sift through the really depressing news and, really mundane shit. It really makes it worth it when we see the community that we've built here. And obviously the benefit that you guys must get from this show. It's cool that we've been able to not only build this community, but, have this community persist as well. So what do you say we get over here on Venmo, on the YouTube side of things? I think I got everybody. If not, I apologize. I had to go through it while we were doing the show. I bet you didn't even see me doing it. And I was trying to put a star on all of you guys that were, responsible for contributing. So if I missed anybody, my apologies. I'll see if I can give a quick flip through as we're doing this. But thank you so much to Frank for the $2. Very much appreciated that. For a shower at the campground. I don't know what that means, but you guys crack me up, your little responses, your little quips that you put in there. So again, the $2, the important part, much appreciated, Frank. Thank you. Hope you have a great day. Have a great weekend as well. Thank you to Yvonne for the 20 gifted. Let's go. You are unbelievable. Unbelievable, Yvonne. Can't thank you enough. 20 people now getting to get a Boston Brian membership for an entire month because Yvonne is just an unbelievable person. So make sure we're getting W's in the chat for Yvonne. Very much appreciated. Thank you to Luis as well, being a member for 27 months. Boston Brian, when you deliver the pickup to Ukraine, go on to Philip Bittner's show On the Edge. Having a Philip interview, you would be hilarious, and I will absolutely do my best to try to set that up if we can have, if and when we make that happen. Let's go. All right. I appreciate you. Thank you so much to Luis. Thank you to Colleen for the 5 gifted memberships. Very much appreciated, Colleen. Thank you for always contributing to this show. It doesn't go unnoticed, and it is very much appreciated, as I always say. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend as well. Thank you. Yvonne's back at it. A Russian soldier has threatened Putin. He's dead. Yeah, he's dead. Well, it's been reported he's dead, right? Let me see. I'll throw this on the screen. Let me see if I can find that real quick. What should I type in to find that? I'll do Russian coup dead. Because remember, we brought this up. I was talking about this on Hal's show as well. Seems like this guy is, let me throw this. Here it is right here. Let me see. Because I told you, this guy was either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid or a little bit of both. because to put a video out like that is not typically the greatest thing for your health in Russia, let's just say. But here, I'll throw this on the screen. Let me take this off for just a second, Yvonne, so everybody can see that. Let me throw this on. Yeah, this is one of the posts that I saw. A lot of people posting this. It says, yesterday, the fun is beginning. Putin about to need 720,000 troops to crack skulls in Russian cities because the coup is coming. Today, the military guy who is going to meet Putin is already dead. The hopium is rotating faster than Russian troops. Pray for Jay. The coping never stops. Let's see here. So again, that's somebody that's probably trying to shit on Jay, but again, not really the flex that they think it is. Because he posts, seems as though the Russian military guy that asked to meet Putin is already dead. And this is per in a Teo breaking post. The wife of this serviceman, the Alexander Lunin, who posted that video, or who was in that video, had previously declared his readiness to stage a mutiny against Vladimir Putin, reported that after his departure to Moscow, a search was conducted at their home overnight, and apparently he's no longer living. Apparently, he's no longer with us, which is something that you probably could have suspected, right? We probably predicted that. I'm not going to lie. You're not typically going to last very long if you're putting out videos like that threatening the coup of the entire Russian military against the Kremlin if you don't get some live meeting with Vladimir Putin. Apparently, they gave him, come on to Kremlin. We'll get you that meeting. Well, sure, yeah, we'll send a plane for you. Meanwhile, didn't really make it to his end result. Didn't really make it to his final destination. But again, that's just what's being reported. Again, I obviously can't confirm that myself, but if multiple outlets have been reporting it, and it's tough to get the confirmation, obviously being where it's being reported from. But you could probably suspect if there's multiple Russian outlets or outlets that are knowledgeable on Russian affairs are reporting that it's probably true. Not to mention that it's not difficult, like I said, to suspect that guy wasn't going to be breathing very long. You know what I mean? Per the video that he had put out. But all right, yeah, I appreciate that, Yvonne. Thank you for bringing that one up. And thank you so much for the 10 pounds as well. But yeah, unfortunately, like I said, as reported, it doesn't seem like that guy's going to be causing Putin too much trouble anymore. But, we'll wait to see if he pops up again in another social media post and see how true or confirmed that reporting is. But thank you so much, Yvonne. Very much appreciate you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, dear. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to moms as well for the $5. Let's go. Weekly tithing. Brian, love you. Love to you, Pops, and the crew. Right back at you, to both you and Pops. Hope you're well, moms. Thank you so much for being here. Great to see you. I feel like it's been too long. I feel like I get to see your face at the Zooms. I do miss you. But thank you so much for the weekly tithing and for being here today. And again, thank you so much for being a member for 20 months. Let's go. I guess I'm having a lobsterversary. Let's fucking go. Well, congratulations on that. We appreciate you, like I said, for being here. All 20 months you've been appreciated and more. I know it's been longer than that, but that's just again with the membership. So thank you, moms. Hope you have a great weekend. Thank you to Jennifer as well. They aren't missing this war. Let's say they aren't missing this war is just Epstein smoke. They aren't missing. This war is just Epstein smoke. What was I talking about? They aren't missing. Not sure. Oh, maybe the targets, the Iranian targets. Jennifer, is that what I was speaking about at that point in time? My apologies for, again, not accurately being able to depict exactly what you were speaking about, but I do very much appreciate the $2 contribution. And then we got Yvonne back as well. Let's go. One more again. Boston Brian, did you hear that the Iranians said if Donald Trump continues with this unjust war, they're going to target Starlink and SpaceX? Goddamn. Yes, get Elon, take everything away. Yeah, I did hear. I've heard several of their threats to start targeting different pieces of U.S. infrastructure, whether that be businesses, again, like Starlink and SpaceX or others, again, if, the United States doesn't play ball. But like I said, I think we're kind of in that shit storm already. And again, I don't know if this is, I don't know. It's tough to know what's going to happen next. Like we've pointed out this entire Iran war, you know what I mean? You can't really trust or believe either side, even though, at this point in time, it's very embarrassing to say that you're probably, better suited to believe and take what's being said by the Iranian side, more off than you got the ability to take what's being said by the United States. Not to say that what the Iranians is 100% true or confirmed or, in line with the reality either. because they have their reasons and willingness to try to propagandize the situation and try to get more out of it, just like anybody else would have. But you know what I mean? It seems to be, considering what we've seen take place in reality and what we've seen take place on the ground, they're a little bit closer to reality. We'll put it that way, than anything that is coming out of Donald Trump's camp or the government here in the United States. So it's difficult to know what's going to come next, because they're talking about a ceasefire as the bombs are dropping. They're talking about a peace as the Iranians are threatening again to close the strait. Not that it was ever like open to begin with, right? It's kind of a misnomer where they say it's going to close again. It's not really open. You know what I mean? It may, in theory, be open, but it's not open to traffic like it was prior to this war by any stretch of the imagination. I think the most that we've seen was it got up to like maybe a third. And even that, like we say, is, a lot of the Iranian-held ships that are going to make their ports of call, and not so much ones that are going to help alleviate the stress on the rest of the oil supply and the rest of the world and what they're paying for gas prices. But we've seen time and time again the willingness of the oil companies to lower their prices basically based off of rhetoric alone and bullshit alone. If the oil prices and gas prices were what they were because of the instability while we had at the beginnings of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, like we still have that going on. So if you add in the instability and the degradation of peace in the Middle East, and obviously the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and all the economic problems and ramifications we've seen from that, how the fuck can you justify the price of a barrel of oil being what it is right now? Like, aren't we seeing more instability? So it seems like the oil conglomerates that are buddy with Donald Trump are really willing to take the True Social post and the bullshit coming from Pete Hegseth or Donald Trump about peace, the likelihood of peace, kind of at face value, and lowering the prices based on that, when time and time again we've seen right after that the missiles and drones start flying, which means that they were kind of falsely lowering the prices to begin with. So there's really no rhyme or reason to not only the pricing but also what's going to come next, when, like I said, you can also simultaneously have people talking about a ceasefire and a peace deal as we're talking about bombing in Lebanon, as we're talking about bombing in the Gulf nations, as we're talking about Kuwait and Bahrain being hit, U.S. bases being hit, ships being struck in the Strait of Hormuz, different sites in and around Iran being struck. Does that sound like a ceasefire to you? You know what I mean? So that's kind of the insanity of the moment that we're in. All we can really do is continue to report on what takes place, what's taking place on the ground, what can be confirmed, what can be corroborated, and what can be called out, right? And you guys can kind of put together, your own pieces to the puzzle and come to your own conclusions, and we can kind of get on the same page as far as what's likely to come or what's not likely to come. But it's anybody's guess as to how this ends, but it does not look to be going well by any stretch of the imagination. It does not look to be going well. It doesn't look like we have a sane leader to be fucking called upon to get some sort of peace deal done here without, again, threatening the entire civilization of the Iranian people and peace in the Middle East for generations to come. You know what I mean? But I guess that's a little bit too much to ask. But I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you guys so much for your help, your cooperation, your passion, your aggression. Make sure you guys are getting out of your seats and into the streets, because we're just not pissed off enough. All right, stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. My name's Brian. We're part of the resistance. We are part of the opposition, and hope you'll join us on our travels, on our road to get 25,000 subscribers here, and hopefully well above and beyond that. But we're shooting for 25 before midterm, so please check to see if you're subscribed to the channel. I know a lot of people watch aren't typically subscribed, so if you could hop out after this, if you could check to see if you're subscribed, click that button. If you're not, it's free to do so. If you're over watching on Twitch, you can utilize your Amazon Prime to subscribe to us on Twitch, and it does not cost you a dime. And again, thank you to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Substack, and Twitch. So the whole 9 yards, very much appreciated. Thank you to the mods. Much love and respect to you guys for everything that you guys do. Every single one of you, regardless of what platform you're on. And then again, and then again, a big shout out and a salute to the best chat on social media. So we'll see you guys Tuesday, but I'll see you guys on the Patreon Zoom tomorrow night. All those that are signed up, again, you guys can head over to patreon.com/BostonBrian, sign up at any one of the 3 tiers, and that should get you access to at least some of the Zoom meetings that we have every single month, again, pertaining to what tier. So we'll be sending out that link tomorrow for anybody involved in that. So please, thank you. If you could go over there and check that out, if you could check out the merch shop as well at bostonbrian.com, that would be fantastic and a big boost for this channel. Again, fantastic merch over there. I think we, again, punch way above our weight class as far as merch for a small channel. Doesn't have to say anything about the channel. Again, just represents, human rights, where you stand as far as being a part of the resistance, being a part of the opposition, and again, just different things according to that as well. So we'll see you Tuesday if you're not signed up at the Patreon. And if you sign up at the Patreon, I'll see you tomorrow night. So thank you guys. Very much appreciated. Huge salute to you guys. And we will see you tomorrow, if not Tuesday. All right. Thanks. Thank you, Buttercup. Much appreciated. Sorry that I missed that one. Thank you to Bry Guy. 1270 rounded my Venmo to an even number. Gotcha. Makes sense now. Let's see if there's anybody else that I missed. Thank you to Buttercup for becoming a new member. Much appreciated to you. Thank you not only for the donation, but for signing up as a new member. Welcome to the new members there. So, welcome to the community. Welcome to the chaos. Hope you find a welcoming spot there. Thank you, Carol, as well, for $5. Terrific lot of people here. Thank you all for being wonderful, especially the mods. Thank you so much to Carol as well. And I'm sorry if I missed these. Like I said, StreamYard is making it difficult for me to find these lately, and I don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it a lot. Not good. Not good. I'm just gonna keep scrolling here in case I missed anybody else.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую. Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Our army manned the airport. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
What uranium is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things. Like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable, I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the success of this country. Gettysburg, wow. I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch. We're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat. never fight uphill, me boys, never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting, never fight uphill, me boys, but it was too late. Water coming here is dead. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated?
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
Fucking Nazis.
Call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Obama. Obama.
What in the hell was that all about? Where you going? Nowhere.
It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful night. Give yourselves a round of applause. You're so lovely. Everyone's so lovely.
Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off! Man, I ain't bothered for no banana in my tailpipe.
Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
My superpower is being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
White people are a mortal danger to you and your loved ones. Is there anything worse than white people?
He builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers. We'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
He referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Always calling me Little Marco. And I'll admit, the guy, he's taller than me. He's like 6'2", which is why I don't understand why his hands are the size of someone who's 5'2".
We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come. God bless the United States.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
Kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. For miners, do we love miners? I love miners. To officially name the undisputed. When did this come out? Somebody said, "Is that a Trump statement or is that real?" It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular. Yesterday is a hard word for me. The big, fat, sloppy